from the network of the 1992 Olympic Winter Games. Next, CBS Sports presents the American League Championship Series.
It's that time of year again, and in case you've forgotten how we get to the fall from the spring, there it is. And you know what's great about this time of year? We're all kids one more time. And the dreams of children are the best of all.
Bobby Thompson up there swinging. Blacker throws. There's a long drive. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants run the card. The Giants run the... Joe DiMaggio up. Outfield deep. Here's the pitch. Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep to left center. Back for John Frito. Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor.
Clark a chance to redeem himself after striking out in the seventh. The Dodger right-hander is set, and here's his pitch to Jack Clark. Swinging a long one into left field. Adios, goodbye, and maybe that's a winner. A three-run homer by Clark, and the Cardinals lead by the score of 7-5, and they may go to the World Series on that one, folks.
It's that time of year again, and what's great about baseball is that you really don't have to actually grow up, even if you look like you did. So join us, all you kids, as we start our journey to the Fall Classic. First stop, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. Well, they play baseball indoors in this town, and you are looking at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, almost on the banks of the Mississippi here in Minneapolis. Last year at this time, you could not have convinced all the good people of the Midwest, and they come from all over here, that they would have this on their schedule in October. But there they are. So welcome to the Dome, inside where it's warm, and let us warm your heart for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Minnesota Twins, here on CBS. Hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to CBS Sports coverage of baseball's postseason. We'll be here through the playoffs and right on through the World Series. And right here in the Twin Cities, you know, you might call Minneapolis Championship City. Think about it. They hosted the Stanley Cup Finals, the U.S. Open Golf Championship. They had the Super Bowl in January, the Final Four in April, and now this unscheduled playoff stop in October, and who knows, maybe even the World Series. If you are a major sports fan, you might want to consider relocating here. An historical note tonight, you may have heard about two teams playing in the postseason who went from worst to first, the Twins and the Atlanta Braves. But back in '89, Louisville of the American Association was dead last, and in '90, by the way, this is 1890, they were first, led, of course, by Chicken Wolf. And how many of you out there have Chicken Wolf's baseball card? Well, let me tell you one thing. A couple of guys who will probably be able to tell you his batting percentage, his slugging percentage, anything you want to know about him are Dick Stockton and Jim Cott. They'll be calling the game for us, and let's go up to them. Good evening, gentlemen.
All right, Pat, thank you very much. I don't know about Chicken Wolf. We're going to have some heroes that maybe you haven't heard from in this series. Let's start with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, here's a team that had to overcome recent seasons of failures down the stretch, Jim, and trying to become the first Canadian team to get into the World Series, and they made a couple of big trades in the offseason and changed the look of the team.
Boy, a remarkable change. You give up 75 home runs and a lot of RBIs, and they have a completely different look. They don't score as many runs, they don't allow as many runs, and they have the whack attack up on top of the lineup. Devon White, Roberto Alomar, Joe Carter. But more than any other player to describe the change in the Toronto Blue Jays, Roberto Alomar, maybe the best second baseman in all of baseball. Steals bases, gets the big hit, and can play well in the field, a Gold Glover.
Now, back in '87, when the Twins won the World Series, they really took everyone by storm. This year, despite the fact that they were last a year ago, not so much. They spread eagle the division that was arguably the strongest in baseball with a lot of great pitching, and free agency may have been the key to the Twins this year.
Yeah, they spent their money wisely. Not the marquee names like Darryl Strawberry, Jack Clark, George Bell, but Chili Davis's numbers are just as productive, and they signed Jack Morris. Not only gave him the innings, but also 18 wins, and he's pitching tonight. They're the two reasons that the Twins went from worst to first.
Now, Jim, curiously, Cito Gaston, the Blue Jays manager, has decided to go with Tom Candiotti, the veteran knuckleballer, tonight, instead of a Jimmy Key or even a Todd Stottlemyre, who have winning records against the Twins. Candiotti does not.
That's a big surprise. I think everyone thought that Jimmy Key would go in game one, but Cito Gaston, the Toronto manager, was a hitter when he played, and he has a hitter's mentality. He remembers Charlie Huff, the knuckleballer, starting game one of a crucial series. He said, we were in a slump for 4 days. He's hoping that Candiotti can do the same thing tonight with Guzman, the hard thrower, coming back tomorrow. Jimmy Key, the veteran, will get the call in game 3.
We'll see if that strategy works, and we'll know soon. Right now, let's go back to Pat.
All right, fellas, thank you. Let's have some fun tonight. A couple of baseball notes before we get underway. In Boston, Joe Morgan was fired today as manager of the Red Sox. He was replaced by Butch Hobson, who was AAA Manager of the Year in Pawtucket. And bad news for Bo Jackson and Bo Jackson fans, which is all of us, really. CBS Sports has learned that medical authorities in Los Angeles are about to recommend to Bo that he should not play football again. This after medical tests just yesterday revealed that cartilage in his injured hip has not regenerated and, in fact, has gotten worse. No comment yet from Bo. We tried to reach him all day and have failed for that. Well, you can see it's getting kind of wild in here, and you're up to date now, and it's almost time for the first pitch. It's game one of the American League Championship Series, the Blue Jays and the Twins. Here we go, folks. The battles of October are about to begin.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 American League Championship Series is brought to you by Toyota and the all-new totally redesigned Camry. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Peerless Faucet. If you're looking into faucets, Peerless means plenty. And by Budweiser with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud.
Jays batting order, Devon White leading off in center field. Roberto Alomar will be at second base. Joe Carter hitting third in right field. John Olerud batting cleanup. He's at first base. Kelly Gruber will bat in the number 5 position at third. Candy Maldonado will be in left field hitting 6th. The designated hitter is 35-year-old Rance Mullenix. Pat Borders behind the plate hitting 8th, and Manuel Lee batting 9th, the shortstop for the Blue Jays.
And for the Minnesota Twins in the field, Dan Gladden will play left field. Kirby Puckett in center, and over in right field will be Shane Mack. The infield, Mike Pagliarulo at third. Greg Gagne will be the shortstop. Rookie Chuck Knobloch is the second baseman. Ken Herbeck at first. Brian Harper will do the catching, and he'll catch right-hander Jack Morris.
He's a big game pitcher. He started the All-Star game this year, has started 3 of them, in fact. 11 straight opening games when he pitched for the Tigers, and is used to this scene.
And still pretty much the power pitcher that he has been for his entire career. Good fastball, the split finger or fork ball, a slider. He has changed speeds a little more often this year.
The deafening crowd support that the Twins get here at the Metrodome as Devon White, a switch hitter, steps up. And the first pitch from Jack Morris. Swung on and missed, strike 1. Morris is 13-3 here at the Metrodome, the most victories of any pitcher in their home park this year.
Even when he was with the Detroit Tigers, he had success in this building. You can tell already how pumped up he is. He is a deliberate worker, and he's thrown 2 pitches rather quickly tonight.
Two balls and 1 strike to Devon White, who has solidified the Blue Jays defense. You won't find a better center fielder in baseball than Devon White, and he's got great speed. Fly ball hit out to left field, and Dan Gladden has a play, and there's 1 gone. The umpires working this ALCS. Larry Barnett, this is his 6th league championship series, the most ever by any American League umpire. Mark Johnson is at first base. Rocky Rowe working at second, and Tim Welke is at third. Down the left field line is Mike Riley, and Jim McKean is the umpire down the right field line. Here is Roberto Alomar with 1 out, takes ball 1 inside. A switch hitter and the best all-round player on this Blue Jays team.
For a young hitter, he has the ability. Now, if he goes 2-0 in the account, he has the ability to pull the ball deep in the count. He can hit it the other way.
And the count is 2 balls and no strikes.
For a player that young to be so intelligent, great credit to his father, Sandy Alomar, former big leaguer.
It misses. 3 balls and no strikes. They appeal to Tim Welke at third. He's got pretty good genes, doesn't he?
Well, I'll say brother Sandy Alomar Jr., last year's Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Morris has fallen behind 3-0 to Alomar with Joe Carter on deck. Taking all the way for a strike. Of course, Morris and the Twins want to keep White and Alomar, the first 2 batters, off the bases, because the running game is the big hope for the Blue Jays in this series. And a chopper hit to second baseman Chuck Knobloch, and the rookie makes the play for out number 2. So far, Morris has gotten the first job done, retiring White and Alomar. Here at the Metrodome, 343 down the left field line. Moves out to 385 and 408 to center field. 327 down the right field line. And an interesting ballpark. It is not a symmetrical park like many of the newer stadiums, and there are some interesting facets as you see the right field curtain. Here's Joe Carter, the big power man for the Blue Jays this year, gets a fastball and fouls it off, strike 1.
And a misconception that this is the Homer Dome, because it's not really the Homer Dome anymore. It was in its early years before they had air conditioning and before they had the curtain. Now it's an extra base dome, but not a Homer Dome.
Joe Carter has livened up the Blue Jays clubhouse with a happy-go-lucky attitude. Last year it wasn't the case with some of the Toronto players. George Bell, who went on to the Chicago Cubs. 1 ball and 1 strike to Carter with 2 outs, nobody on base. Ball hit out to center field. Kirby Puckett over there, and he makes the catch. And a 1-2-3 inning for Jack Morris. The Blue Jays don't score, and the Twins coming to bat. The Minnesota Twins batting order: Dan Gladden in left field leading off, Chuck Knobloch batting second, then the heart of the order, dangerous Kirby Puckett, Kent Herbeck, and Chili Davis, the designated hitter. Brian Harper, one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. Shane Mack, the right fielder. Mike Pagliarulo, another free agent pickup at third base. And Greg Gagne, the shortstop, batting 9th for the Minnesota Twins, in an outstanding balanced lineup.
And for the Toronto Blue Jays in the field, Candy Maldonado will play left field. Devon White, maybe the best in the American League, in center field. Joe Carter in right. Around the infield, Kelly Gruber, he's healthy now. The shortstop is Manuel Lee. Second baseman, their best all-around player, Roberto Alomar. At first base, young John Olerud, youngest player in the ALCS. Behind the plate, Pat Borders. And he'll catch the knuckleballer, veteran Tom Candiotti. He is a pitcher with a knuckleball. He'll throw a curve, change speeds on it, and occasional slider, not strictly knuckleballs.
He was with the Cleveland Indians until late June. So he was with a club that eventually lost 105 games, was traded, and now pitching in the League Championship Series. What a turnaround year for him. Dan Gladden facing Candiotti. Starts him off with a curveball, strike 1. Candiotti was second in the American League with a 2.65 earned run average, but ended up 500 record-wise. There's the knuckleball, and the count is 0-2 to Gladden.
That's the key to Tom Candiotti's success. He will throw a lot of curveballs on strike 1, and when he gets it over, you'll see all knuckleballs after that.
Ground ball hit into the hole and through for a base hit.
The Minnesota Twins have been waiting for Dan Gladden to get started. Look at the knuckleball floating in there. Gladden hits it sharply in the hole. Also important for Minnesota to get their top 2 hitters going, Gladden and Knobloch. Again, the knuckleball, you won't see a lot of body movement by the hitters, just flat-footed, try to make contact.
So Dan Gladden, the best base runner on the Twins. He has 15 stolen bases. is on, and here's Chuck Knobloch, an impressive heady rookie. Bounding ball into the hole, and that too gets past Manuel Lee in the left field. Gladden will stop at second, and the Twins start out with a back-to-back base hit.
Makes contact. Lee took a break towards second base. That's why he was late getting back to the ball in the hole. A routine ground ball if Gladden isn't on first. In this situation, a base hit.
Cito Gaston, who missed 33 games with a bad back, a bulging disc pressing on a nerve. Kirby Puckett, followed by Ken Herbeck, and the Twins with a bona fide threat here in the first inning with runners at first and second, nobody out. Knuckleball is high, ball one. The Twins are a team that put the ball in play. They hit line drives to the power alleys, and no one embodies that kind of offense more than Kirby Puckett.
He'll hit it anywhere from any place in the strike zone or out of it.
Strike, 1-1.
And here's something the Blue Jays outfielders will have to do in the Metrodome. You'll notice Devon White very deep in center field because of the dome, hard to pick up the ball. He would like to play a little closer and be able to get a jump, take his eye off the ball on a fly ball. Can't do it here.
1-1 to Kirby Puckett, nobody out and 2 on. Fouls it off, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Puckett. Hits to all fields.
That's why he is so difficult to align in the field and to scout as to how to pitch him, how to play him. He'll take the inside pitch the other way. Not much of a pull hitter.
And a .320 career average facing Tom Candiotti. With nobody out, and the pitch is on the inside corner for strike 3. The knuckleball gets Puckett, and he goes down for out number 1.
Puckett will not see many curveballs. And you see the determination on Candiotti's face. Floats in there with no rotation. Kirby thought it might dip inside, but Borders caught it right on the corner. Pitcher's pitch.
The Candiotti gets Puckett. Doesn't get any easier now with Kent Herbeck. Left-handed batter. With runners at first and second and 1 out, there's a knuckleball taken 1-0. Herbeck hit 20 home runs for the 8th consecutive year this season. Dan Gladden, the runner at second. Chuck Knobloch at first with 1 out. Bottom of the first inning. No score in game 1. Blue Jays and Twins in the American League Championship Series. Fly ball hits to center fielder Devon White, going back to tag as Gladden. The catch is made, and Gladden will tag and go to third base. Knobloch goes back to first, and there are 2 gone. Deep fly ball hit by Ken Herbeck. So far, Jim, Candiotti, after seeing the first 2 batters getting on, gets Puckett and Herbeck, and now he's got another one to tangle with.
He'll tell anyone the knuckleball can be a very frustrating pitch. It'll get you in a lot of jams, but it'll get you out of a lot of jams, which makes that man very happy.
What has Chili Davis meant to the Minnesota Twins this year, the switch hitter who had a tremendous first half offensively?
He would have been the Minnesota Twins' most valuable player in the first half. Shane Mack in the second half, but Davis has been steady all year with RBIs and batting average. A little more power in the first half.
2 down, runners at first and third. And ball 1. You talked about free agent acquisitions and not a big name.
And what Chili Davis will do hitting in this number 5 spot is take a lot of pitches. Very deliberate hitter. He'll make Candiotti throw the ball in the strike zone. He'll try to get him in a 2-0, 3-1 count and hit that curveball.
Swing and a miss on the knuckleball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tom Candiotti, who's hoping to give the Twins a dose of off-speed pitches and trickery before the speed baller Guzman pitches tomorrow. Candiotti has struggled in the first inning this year before settling down, trying to get out of a jam here. Throw to first and Knobloch gets back.
Yeah, puts a little more pressure on catcher Pat Borders right now also with that knuckleball. Knobloch has good speed at first, Gladden at third. Borders using the big glove. Gets to a 1-2 count on Davis. You might see manager Tom Kelly try to start Knobloch, get the Blue Jays to throw the ball away and steal a run.
Knobloch led the Twins in stolen bases with 25, does not go. And the pitch is outside, 2-1. Tom Kelly telling us before the game that the key for the Twins in facing Candiotti is to get ahead in the count. Then you can try some things.
And you'll see all the hitters, Chili Davis in this instant right here, with a very, very quiet upper body. They spread out, quiet bat, just try to make contact with that knuckleball.
Curveball on the outside corner, and Candiotti is hitting his spots effectively here. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Davis.
The advantage of having more than just the knuckleball. You see, this looks like, well, that was the knuckleball. You know, it looked like a curve, and oftentimes the knuckler will break the same as a curveball, and that's what that did across the outside corner.
There goes Knobloch. The pitch is taken outside, and Knobloch will be in with a stolen base. So now the Twins with runners at second and third and 2 out, and 3-2 to Davis with Brian Harper on deck.
Pat Borders knows his only responsibility here is to knock the ball down, and that's why Knobloch can trot in there easily. No chance to make the throw. Borders just did a good job keeping it in play.
3-2 to Davis. First base is open, and Brian Harper, who's a good hitter, on deck for the Twins. Off the fist, and a base hit to left field. 2 runs will score, and the Twins lead it 2-0 on Chili Davis's base hit.
Well, it wasn't pretty as far as the Minnesota Twins are concerned, but watch the knuckleball, and you see very little body movement from Davis. Watch it. Just a short stride. Just try to put the bat on the ball. That was a big swing. Just got it in on the trademark and a little bloop hit.
2-0 Twins, and Brian Harper looks at a breaking ball outside. The Homer Hankies are out in force. No home runs, but 3 singles have given the Minnesota Twins a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. So Tom Candiotti, whose first inning earned run average was over 4 runs a game, again having first inning woes. Popped up to the right side, and Alomar in short right field makes the catch to retire the side, but a 2-run single by Chili Davis gives the Twins a 2-0 lead after an inning. And right now, let's go to the third member of our team, Leslie Visser. Les?
Dick, as you know, the Metrodome, the indoor ball yard, is known for its noise. It's practically impossible for the fielders to communicate, so the Toronto Blue Jays have come up with an elaborate system of hand signals. How loud is it? Well, in 1987 here, during the World Series, Cardinal pitcher Joe McGrain used earplugs. Now, these were offered to Tom Candiotti, but he heard that they might disrupt your equilibrium, so he decided not to take a chance. Dick?
Maybe our equilibrium will be disturbed, huh?
Well, have her run a couple pair of those up here. We could use them.
Thank you,
Forget about the equilibrium.
Here's John Olerud in the second inning with the Twins, and Jack Morris staked to a 2-0 lead, takes ball 1. Olerud filling the first base role, left vacant when Fred McGriff was traded. It's part of that big deal with the Padres. 2 balls and no strikes the count to Olerud. Jack Morris 2-0 against the Blue Jays this year. Fouled away, including a complete game shutout.
Everyone talks about baseball being a game of firsts, and first games are important in postseason play. Not as much in this series because both teams have such good pitching depth, but the early innings of every game, the first couple innings, are important because both teams have good bullpens. They'd love to have the lead in that 6th or 7th inning when they turn it over to that bullpen.
Olerud will be followed by Kelly Gruber and Candy Maldonado here in the second inning. Fastball Fastball swung on and missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Outstanding hitting prospect, young John Olerud. Look at the head and the hands. Very quiet, very little upper body movement. Swung through that one.
Takes high. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Chuck Knobloch may be a rookie for the Minnesota Twins, but John Olerud is still the youngest player in this game at age 23.
And despite the deep left field at the Metrodome, he has outstanding power the opposite field.
Popped up in foul territory. Pagliarulo in the coach's box makes the catch, and Olerud is retired for the first out here in the 2nd inning. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the Minnesota Twins, who were finished last a year ago, first this year, going against the Toronto Blue Jays in the best-of-7 American League Championship Series. This is Dick Stockton along with Jim Cott and Leslie Visser. The Twins lead at 2-0, and with 1 out, Kelly Gruber, the batter, takes up high, ball 1. Gruber was out for 2 months with a injured thumb that affected his season offensively. Lines it foul. Jim, everyone talks about the Blue Jays' top-heavy part of the order, but they expect things from Kelly Gruber in this series.
Kelly Gruber got off to a tough start because of the injured thumb. That's one reason. If you look at the team fielding stats, the Blue Jays have made a lot of errors, but they're really a better team in the field. This guy was a Gold Glover. He's healthy now, 20 home runs, and he provides a little power besides just the top 3.
Play him to pull in the infield, straight away in the outfield. Here's the 1-1 pitch, broken bat, roller to shortstop. Gagne up with it. His throw is not in time. And we very nearly had a repeat of that incident in Los Angeles between the Dodgers and Giants when a ball batted hit a broken bat at shortstop. We came close to that.
Leslie told us about the outfielders in Toronto communicating. Here's how infielders communicate. Pagliarulo thought about going for that ball. He pulled up. Gagne obviously called him off, but the ball was not hit hard enough. By the time Gagne fielded it, Gruber has good speed, beat it out.
First base hit off of Jack Morris. 1 out here in the 2nd inning, and here's Candy Maldonado. He has been a savior for the Blue Jays. Started the season with the Indians, then went to the Brewers.
Morris has an exceptional fastball early in this game. A lot of the Blue Jay hitters, if you talk to scouts and pitchers, are pretty good off-speed hitters, but Maldonado may be swinging the bat as well as any of them here in the latter part of the season, and he is a good fastball hitter.
Fastball fouled out on the screen. No balls and 2 strikes. Maldonado, by the way, is appearing in his 3rd postseason with 3 different teams. Played for the Dodgers and for the Giants in postseason. But he's had every other year, the odd year, he gets into postseason play, and here we are in 1991.
He's right on time. Very maligned. Maldonado got a rap somewhere along the line of not being a happy player, good team player. He's just the opposite. You talk to his teammates here in Toronto and other ball clubs, how much he has meant to that team, not just the numbers, but in the clubhouse.
One out. The on-deck hitter is Rance Mullenix. Pitch is outside, 1-2. Cito Gaston said he would try to hit and run under situations depending on who the next hitter would be. He does not have an overpowering hitter, and Mullenix up next. We'll see a lot of that tonight.
Yeah, he caught Gruber leaning. In fact, that may have been a hit and run. Gruber not with a big lead, but his first step was a short step towards second base, which would indicate maybe Toronto had the hit and run on.
Tom Kelly determining whether there would be a pitch out or a throw to first or a step off. And time is called.
Of course, I'll check that with a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Gruber would have the straight steal, but we talk about all the speed at the top of the lineup. Gruber also has excellent speed. He's a base stealing threat. That's unusual for a hitter and a player you think of as a power hitter.
1 ball and 2 strikes, 1 out. There goes Gruber, and the ball is off the glove of Harper, and Gruber slides into second. It is a stolen base, and Harper, who is not known for his defensive prowess behind the plate, had a problem here.
The Blue Jays are going to take advantage, if they can, of Brian Harper, the lowest throwing percentage in the league. And Harper, in this instance, tries to get rid of the ball so quickly, never controlled it. And Gruber in easily.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Maldonado. Gruber is in scoring position. The Twins lead at 2-0, so Maldonado represents the tying run at the plate. And a big swing on a fastball, and Maldonado is retired for out number 2. First strikeout for Jack Morris.
Well, if you have a good enough fastball or split finger that you can get in on the hands of the Blue Jay power hitters like Carter and Maldonado, that's what they'll see.
So with 2 down, it's left up into the hands of Rance Mullenix, the 35-year-old designated hitter. He's been a smart hitter throughout his career, basically a singles hitter, and that's been a problem spot for the Blue Jays, the DH position.
Yeah, they've never had a lot of power out of that DH spot.
Morris's fastball, strike 1.
Well, you can hear the fastball popping. And Morris, watch this swing. Mullenix is late on that. Early innings, exceptional fastball. Mullenix has seen more of Jack Morris than any hitter in that Toronto lineup all the years they've gone at it.
Gruber on at second base. He singled and stole second. 2 men out. And a foul fly out of play. And those are added temporary box seats down the left field line.
Now, you can tell early in the game the indications, little subtle indications of championship series play. Jack Morris is pumped up. He has an exceptional fastball. Notice all the Blue Jays hitters primarily have been late, and that'll tell you early in the game anybody can have a tendency to squeeze the bat a little tighter. You don't generate quite the bat speed.
No balls and 2 strikes to Rance Mullenix, who is the Blue Jays' leading hitter with runners in scoring position this season. See what he can do here with Gruber at second. Just low. Ball and 2 strikes.
Tom Kelly, Twins manager. He's been in this situation before, 87. Usually that same demeanor, very, very calm and collected.
The 5th rookie manager to win a World Series 4 years ago. Trying to get to the World Series this year. Mullenix stays alive, and the count holds at 1-2. Minnesota Twins began the season with a 2-9 record. And then in June ran off a 15-game winning streak, and they never looked back.
They saw the great pitching. You mentioned the American League West Division, by far the toughest. They saw all that good pitching early in the year from Oakland, California, and Seattle. One of the reasons they got off to that dismal start.
Morris's 1-2 pitch. 2-2. The left side of the Minnesota infield plays Mullenix as a right-handed pull hitter.
See Pagliarulo at third and Gagne deep at short. They shade him that way, and they'll also play him rather deep. Mullenix doesn't possess great speed.
Outfield also shaded around to the left and in medium range. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2-0 in favor of the Minnesota Twins. And a chopper. Herbeck is going to handle it, and he makes the perfect throw, as he always does, to the pitcher, Jack Morris. No runs, a hit, and a runner left at second. We have completed an inning and a half. It's still 2-0 the Twins.
Proud to announce the 1991 American League Rolaids Relief Man of the Year, Brian Harvey of the California Angels.
Well, the Angels had 3 outstanding starters, and they have the Relief Man of the Year. And yet they didn't
How
win.
in the world does a team like that finish last in the West Division? They did finish at 500, but Brian Harvey may be a candidate for that Cy Young award. No clear-cut winner as a starter. You add up his hits per inning and walks, you know, base runners, he's the best reliever in baseball. His strikeout ratio really higher than Nolan Ryan's.
Twins batting in the 2nd inning, and Shane Mack leading off. Talk about a banner year, career year for Mack. Hit .310. Imagine having a batter hitting .310 in the number 7 slot in your batting order. Shows you what the Twins have in their arsenal. Leading 2-0, and the first pitch is fouled off to the left.
That's the second half we referred to. He would be the Twins' most valuable player as a position player in the second half. That average dictates that. Elbow problem early in his career, that's healed.
1 ball and 1 strike to Shane Mack, as you mentioned. Picked up the slack after Chili Davis gave him the great first half, and you see how imposing he is here at the Metrodome. There's a knuckleball that gets away from Pat Borders, and Borders told us yesterday how tough it is even looking into the background in center field.
Knuckleball is tough enough to catch with a good background, and then you look out into the background of the Metrodome. Even with that big bushel basket he has on his hands, it's difficult.
Breaking ball is fouled right past Ron Gardenhire, the Twins' third base coach. And speaking of the Twins coaches, there is Gardenhire, who is in his rookie year as a third base coach, and this is a tough spot for a third base coach. Over at first base is 66-year-old Wayne Terwilliger, second oldest active coach in baseball. Ground ball off the leg of Candiotti. This is going to be a tough play, and they won't make it. Mack beats it out for an infield hit. Let's see if Candiotti is all right. Appears to be.
Hit sharply up the middle on the knuckleball. Candiotti can't get the glove down. He's had some problems against the Twins. He was spiked by Brian Harper in a start about 10 days ago. Now Shane Mack takes one off his shins, and trainer Tommy Craig and pitching coach Galen Cisco out to check it out. With Mack's speed there, no chance, as Olerud broke for the bag.
Candiotti, you mentioned, was spiked in the series in Toronto and did not miss a turn, and he just told Galen Cisco that he's all right.
He has a very slow, deliberate motion, and as a result, you see the ball flutter in. That's the curveball. He doesn't get himself in position. His glove is still not in front of his body, and Mack has hit this ball up the middle. You see it hit right off the left shin.
You talked about the free agent pickups in Chili Davis and Jack Morris. How about Mike Pagliarulo? Pagliarulo, a couple of years ago, was hitting 200 or below. And he has come back in a big way as he takes up high ball 1.
You know, when they got Mike Pagliarulo, they thought they were getting a power hitter, the Minnesota Twins. Maybe 15 home runs, but a low average. But he is just the opposite. Watch the way he tucks that left elbow in, almost like a golfer. More contact, less power. Hits the ball to all fields now. Yankee Stadium days, he was known as a pull hitter. Terry Crowley, the Minnesota Twins hitting coach, has worked diligently with all the Twins, and one of the changes he made with Pagliarulo was tucking that elbow in.
He hit 32 home runs for the Yankees 4 years ago. Had 6 this season. Fastball from Candiotti is fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike.
That's why the Twins hitters will not see many fastballs. That ball was fouled straight back. Anytime a pitcher sees a hitter foul a ball straight back, it tells him he's right on time. I better throw it a little slower or a little harder, or in Candiotti's case, go to the knuckleball.
1-1 the count. Mack, the leadoff batter, on base. He had 13 stolen bases this year. He got fooled on another knuckleball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There's the change we were referring to. Not just a pull hitter anymore.
On deck is Greg Gagne, the number 9 hitter in the lineup for the Twins, their shortstop. Two balls and 2 strikes. Pagliarulo's elbow, he said, is 100%. In fact, he said should not have played in 1989 when he struggled at the plate.
Hit and run situation here. That's how they've used Pagliarulo, and Mack has good speed at first.
And not a bad idea with Greg Gagne, who has hit Candiati very well in his career. He looks him back to first. Normally the number 9 hitter would not be the guy you'd want in a scoring situation, but Gagne is hitting .400, including a home run against Candiati in his career. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and the runner goes. It's taken for a ball, and in its second, with the Twins' second stolen base in as many innings, is Shane Mack. Count is 3-2.
The Blue Jays come into this series as the team with the speed. Alomar, White, Carter, but with the knuckleball, Candiati much easier to steal against than a normal pitcher. You see Borders cannot get control of that one, and Mack steals it easily.
Well, this is the strategy that Cito, Gaston endorse. Go with the knuckleballer. Only works if Candiati gets the job done. Here's the 3-2 pitch and a line drive hit to right field. Joe Carter makes the catch. Tagging up is Shane Mack. Here's the throw to third. It hits the runner, and in its third is Mack. It would have been a close play, but the throw hit the diving Shane Mack, who tags up with 1 away.
Shane Mack got caught in between. He tagged up late, and Carter, playing shallow with an accurate arm, just gets a bad break. This throw is right on target, but it hits Shane Mack. If it doesn't, he's out at third.
Joe Carter had 13 assists during the season. So with the 1 out, the infield moves in to Greg Gagne, as the Blue Jays, trailing 2-0, looking for a play at the plate on a ground ball. Base hit to center field by Gagne, and it's 3-0 Minnesota.
No big swings against the knuckleballer. You see again Gagne the same way. Short stride, compact swing, and his success against Candiati continues. The stolen base pays off.
So it's the Twins who are running, and it's 3-0 as the drawn-in infield strategy backfires. And here's Dan Gladden up for the second time. He led off the first inning, last inning, with a single to left field. Throw to first base, and Gagne is back. Gladden, by the way, with his first inning single, has now extended his hitting streak in postseason play to 9 games. Including the '87 World Series. Another base hit to center field. Stopping at second is Gagne. Gladden is 2 for 2, and the Blue Jays may have to get their bullpen going early. Six hits now off of Candiati. There's Galen Cisco, the pitching coach.
And Dan Gladden, who was not hitting well the last part of the season, hits a curveball there. Gladden is that kind of player to produce in postseason. If John Madden picked a baseball team, Gladden would be on it. He's got that mentality.
He'd make the all-Madden
team. He would.
In any sport.
See, and here's the gamble as Cisco walks to the mound. Candiati was not sharp in the latter part of the year. Jimmy Key was. And so Cito Gaston is going to be under some fire for this decision, because once again, Key is not starting game 1. Candiati is. So far, it has not been successful.
Right now, let's send it down to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Down here near the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, the leading ace for the Blue Jays has been Tom Henke. He's been bothered by tendonitis in his right shoulder. He says, though, that he's ready to go tonight. Manager Cito Gaston says he doesn't know if he'll use him as a stopper or his normal role as the closer, but he'll only go 1 inning. We'll see what happens. Dick?
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. One of the big questions coming in was Tom Henke's status. Still no warm-up activity, however, for the Blue Jays. Here's Chuck Knobloch, who singled his first time up and scored a run, as did Gladden. Takes ball 1 from Candiati.
Yeah, neither one of these teams, I mean, Cito Gaston, the Toronto manager, Tom Kelly of Minnesota, they're not accustomed to having to get pitchers up in the first 4 innings. Their starters have been very, very effective all year.
And as we speak, the bullpen starts in action. Pitches inside, 2 balls and no strikes. Well, the Blue Jays, if you compare teams, do have perhaps a deeper bullpen, and one of the reasons why left-hander David Wells,
who was a starter for much of the year. Situation here for Chuck Knobloch. Tom Kelly can turn him loose on a 2-0 count expecting a fastball, or he can start the runners because Candiati has to throw a strike.
2 on and 1 out. Knobloch, who has the ability to go to the opposite field, fouls it off.
He is developing the same skill that his counterpart Roberto Alomar of Toronto has, is that as a young hitter he's a situation hitter. He can get a pitch on the inside part of the plate and try to pull it as he did there, or he can hit it the other way.
Blue Jays looking for the possible double play to get them out of this dire straits, and there's a ground ball, base hit to right field. 1 run comes in, the throw to third, and out at third base is Dan Gladden. Scoring is Craig Gagne. It is now a 4-0 game as Joe Carter with his first assist of this series.
Again, the ability to play shallow by Carter. Watch him play that ball perfectly. This time he does not get the bad break. The ball takes the true hop, and a good job by Gruber. Watch the tag. Get it in and get it out. Tim Welke right there to make the call. Good at bat by Knobloch. A great throw by Carter.
So Knobloch is 2 for 2, but the Blue Jays trail 4-0. There are 2 men out, and runner at first, Kirby Puckett, who struck out his first time up. There goes Knobloch. He got a great jump, and the throw goes into center field. Knobloch gets up and will go to third. It'll be a stolen base and an error charged to Pat Borders, I'm sure. That's the ruling.
This is why pitchers, managers, everyone can get frustrated with a knuckleball pitcher, because they're easier to steal against. Borders has to try to rush that throw. It bounces into center field. And this just continues to compound the problem for Toronto, because the Minnesota Twins are a pretty consistent team up and down the lineup. They don't depend on just the top 3. They've shown that in the early part of this ball game. They make more contact than any team in the American League and strike out very often.
All right, now the Twins are beating the Blue Jays at their own game. They have 3 stolen bases and have jumped out to a 4-0 lead. Knobloch is at third. It's been a miserable start for Candiati in this game. Breaking ball is fouled off by Puckett. 1-1 the count to Kirby. Twins have never lost a postseason game here at the Metrodome. They are 6-0. Broken bat, ground ball to shortstop. Manuel Lee's throw is in time, but the Twins, who got 2 in the first, add 2 more runs, and after 2 innings, 4-0 in favor of Minnesota.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 American League Championship Series is brought to you by Toyota and their quality line of 1992 cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. The financial consultants at Shearson Lehman Brothers. You can get there from here. And by United Airlines. Come fly the airline that spans more than half the world.
Hall of Famer Leo DeRocher died last night. He was 86 years old, known for 5 decades of service as a player and a manager. Managed the Dodgers, and then he managed the Giants. A fun-loving guy, Leo the Lip, and there he was when Bobby Thompson hit his famous home run. Leo the Lip, dead at 86. Eddie Stanky on his back. I don't even think Leo saw Bobby Thompson touch home plate. Came up with the great phrase, nice guys finish last.
Never be another like him.
No.
There were 2 close, Billy Martin and Earl Weaver. It's about as close to Leo as they come.
4-0 in favor of Minnesota, and Pat Borders hits a drive deep to center field. Kirby Puckett on the warning track, pulls it in. But Borders gave it a ride to the deepest part of the Metrodome.
Watch Puckett keep his eye on the ball. He's not going to take his eyes off the ball. He's going to feel for the wall. So you can't afford to take your eyes off the ball in the Metrodome. You feel to see where it is. Devon White referred to the same thing. Once you take your eyes off it, you'll lose it in the dome. Puckett's played here long enough. He knows how to handle that.
Manuel Lee, the number 9 hitter, runs up to bunt and takes ball 1. Lee switch hitting shortstop. He had big shoes to fill this year with Tony Fernandez, outstanding defensive infielder, being traded to San Diego. Holly Arullo is playing in at third base.
Yeah, Lee was a natural shortstop in the minor leagues. When he got to the big leagues, Tony Fernandez was there. He was asked to play second for a while. Fernandez traded, and the Blue Jays really have not lost a great deal in the field. Manuel Lee, not as good a hitter as Fernandez, but he's done a good job in the field.
He's only a .209 hitter from the left side. Fastball misses outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Holly Arullo is playing on the grass at third. He doesn't mind playing there. It's just like being a goalie in hockey, where he played in New England, as did Ken Herbeck. Swing and a miss.
Both the first and third baseman for the Twins will play with that type of mentality. They're hockey fans and former hockey players, and that's sort of what you picture yourself as a corner, a goalie. You just want to knock the ball down. You usually have time to make the play after that.
Holly Arullo, as well as shortstop Gagne from suburbs in Boston. Herbeck, of course, a local boy. And Lee strikes out. That is the second strikeout by Jack Morris, and there are 2 down here in the top of the 3rd inning. Want to remind you, tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, Jim Leslie and I will be back for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series. Blue Jays and Twins. Juan Guzman against Kevin Tapani. Tomorrow night, Game 1 at 8:30 Eastern Time. It'll be the Braves and the Pirates from Three River Stadium. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series as the action heats up here on CBS. 2 down to Devon White, who fly to left his first time up. Blue Jays trailing 4-0. They were looking to silence the crowd with early outbursts of their own tonight, but it hasn't gone that way. Ground ball to the right side, gloved nicely by Knobloch, and he makes the play. 1-2-3 inning, and we'll return to the Metrodome after this word from your local station. Well, let's go back to this day in baseball history. Something no one has ever done since Don Larson's perfect game in Game 5 of the World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees. 1956.
One of those dates that everyone remembers where they were. I think I was getting ready to go to class.
Me too. Me too, in grade school.
Yeah.
Seriously. Ken Herbeck, the batter. Candiotti misses with a couple of breaking balls. 2 balls and no strikes. Herbeck fly to center his first time up. He's had success against Candiotti in the past. There's a fastball for a strike. 2-1.
As a lot of power hitters do, they overlap those bottom 2 fingers off the knob of the bat.
In there for another fastball, so Candiotti, after falling behind, draws even with a couple of fastballs right down the pipe. Herbeck leading off in the 3rd inning and lifts a pop-up may be playable. Borders sheds his mask and makes the catch, and Herbeck's retired. One gone in the third.
Well, to Candiotti's credit, he's had a couple of tough innings, and he comes out against the cleanup hitter behind in the count and throws him 2 fastballs, and it pays off. He finally got him on the knuckler.
Candiotti has allowed 4 runs on 7 hits already. One of those hits, a 2-run single by Chili Davis in the first inning. And here is Davis, the switch hitter. Make no mistake about it, Chili Davis doesn't mind being a DH. He has no desire to play the field. He says, I'm just a hitter. That's all I want to do.
Well, and a lot of players have trouble adjusting to that role. Chili did not. He doesn't have to track down fly balls anymore, and he enjoys it.
Rounded foul, or hitting cutoff men, and all those little things that outfielders should do.
Well, he had a couple of tough years in the outfield during his days in California with the Angels, so this is a welcome position for him.
One ball, one strike. 2 balls and a strike now. Candiotti was acquired from the Indians in late June for 2 promising outfielders, Mark Whitten and Glenn Allen Hill. Whitten especially has a real bright future in the American League, or wherever he winds up. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the corner. Fastball, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Changing his pitching pattern now and catching the Twins hitters by surprise. They're not accustomed to seeing any fastballs from Candiotti, mostly knuckleballs and curves. That's why he's caught Herbeck and Davis looking at those.
3 balls and 2 strikes, and that's why Candiotti, if the knuckler isn't there, will rely on other pitches, and that's why you describe him so accurately as a pitcher who throws a knuckleball as opposed to just being a knuckleball hurler.
Mentioned the players they had to give up to get him. That's a credit to the rich Toronto farm system.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. And a breaking ball, staying alive as Davis gets a piece of it.
Pat Gillick, who was nicknamed Stan Pat for years, has been anything but that with the trades that he's made. He was able to trade away a couple of young outfielders in Whitten and Hill. A lot of organizations wouldn't be in a position to do that, get a pitcher like Candiotti.
Again, the 3-2 pitch. Line foul. Chili Davis is making Tom Candiotti work here in the 3rd inning. Twins got 2 in the first inning, a 2-run single by Chili, and then added 2 more on 4 hits, run-scoring singles by Gagne and Chuck Knobloch. Twins have stolen 3 bases already. That's been a surprise. Again, the 3-2, and Davis fouls it off.
That's been another subtle part of Chili Davis's game that has helped the Minnesota Twins. If you're a pitcher in Tom Candiotti's shoes and you throw 6, 7, 8 pitches to Davis, even if you get him out, it helps Brian Harper, who comes up next. He's seen a lot of those pitches from the on-deck circle, and obviously the pitcher's going to be a little more fatigued.
And he walks him. Ball 4, and Borders has to go chase it. He doesn't get far, so Davis trots down. That is the first base on balls given up by Candiotti, and he's aboard for the 2nd time. Twins have out-hit the Blue Jays 7-1. And Brian Harper, who popped up to Roberto Alomar in short right field, the batter. 69 runs batted in, a career high for Brian. Four to nothing Twins. 1 out, 1 on here in the bottom of the 3rd. There goes Davis. There goes the bat. Pitch is taken for a swung for a strike, and Chili Davis winds up in 2nd with the 4th stolen base of the game for the Twins.
Tom Kelly's got to be saying things are going my way. Harper throws the bat at the ball, and by the time Borders comes up to throw, actually Harper distracted him, and I think if Borders would have gone ahead and made contact with Harper, he may have put a little pressure on home plate umpire Larry Barnett to call interference, but he didn't force the contact. He just held up.
Larry Barnett's been there before, the 75 World Series, in that interference situation with Ed Armbrister and Carlton Fisk. Swung on and missed. No balls and 2 strikes. Davis on at 2nd with 1 out.
Brian Harper's a playground hitter. Go out to the playground and play with a group of kids like we did when we were younger. He doesn't walk and he doesn't strike out. If it's close, he hacks at it. He makes good contact. Not many catchers have hit over 300 in the American League.
1 ball and 2 strikes. It's like Willie Mays used to play stickball when he broke in with the Giants in the early 50s after playing a doubleheader at the Polo Grounds. Would go out to Harlem and play stickball with the kids, and they loved it.
Stickball hitter.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Brian Harper. Swing and a miss on a pitch in on his fist, and that'll be the second strikeout for Candiotti and the second out of the inning for the Twins.
When you've struck out Brian Harper, you've done something. He is very tough to strike out. Look at Carter out in right field, and he's able to play shallow because of Devon White's great speed in center. White can cover all that ground out there in center and right center. That's why Carter has a lot of assists. He already has one tonight, playing that shallow position.
Shane Mack with an infield hit his first time up, stole a base and scored after tagging up. And of course, when you have the luxury of a center fielder like Devon White, the outfielders can not only play shallow but closer to the line because he can cover so much ground. 1-0 the count to Mack. 2 balls and no strikes. What would you say Candiotti's best pitch has been the fastball so far?
Well, the knuckleball, it is such a gamble. If it's not fluttering exactly right, normally it does indoors. But if you take the approach the Twins hitters are, flat-footed, just try to make contact, it's a much more hittable pitch.
Missed that one, 2-1.
See the big swings. That was a big swing. Most of the Twins hitters have not taken that approach, but I'm sure Shane Mack, ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes, wanted to be a little more aggressive.
See David Wells, who was up earlier, throwing in the Blue Jays bullpen. 2-1 pitch and a line drive to right. Carter, who is playing it, and it goes over his head. Scoring easily is Davis, and in at second base is Shane Mack. As the ball comes through, that's the first extra base hit of the game for the Twins. A double and a run batted in for Mack.
And it was not Carter's shallow position that enabled Mack to hit this ball over his head. Joe Carter has had great success hitting in the dome. It has been a nightmare for him fielding in the dome. He cannot pick the ball up. 2 years ago when he was with Cleveland, he lost 5 fly balls in the dome in 1 year. And that's another one he did not see off the bat.
David Wells in the 3rd inning, and that'll be all for Candiotti as the Twins shell him from the mound.
Back in the Metrodome, Carter isn't the only player having trouble fielding the ball. Devon White said it's hard to track a fly ball against the roof because those 8-inch holes look like baseballs. Back in the mid-'80s, Dave Kingman undercut a ball that actually went through the roof. I believe it was the Metrodome's first hole-in-one. Dick?
And an unusual one.
Yeah. And he's a guy that could do it. Kingman hit the highest home runs and fly balls. Didn't hit them as far as Frank Howard, but he hit them higher.
So David Wells is aboard here with 2 outs, and Shane Mack on at second base. It's now a 5-0 Twins lead, and the first pitch is a strike to Pags, who fly to right his first time up. Wells was a member of the starting rotation for most of the season, and to help the team went to the bullpen toward the end.
David Wells coming in as a left-hander, which is what Cito Gaston wanted to avoid against Minnesota.
1 hopper to Gruber at third, and the throw in the dirt, and the runner safe. That'll be an error charged to Kelly Gruber. Second error of the game for the Blue Jays, and Twins are alive. Shane Mack on at third base, and Pagliarulo safe at first.
It's one of those errors where you almost have too much time. You see the way Kelly Gruber just aimed that ball over there. Didn't really turn it loose. He kind of long-armed it, and as a result, you steer it, you don't get as much on it, and he put John Olerud in a tough position. The most difficult hop to pick for a first baseman. Wasn't really the long one, and it wasn't the short hop, just the in-betweener, and Olerud couldn't come up with it.
So the rally for the Twins Keeps going. 2 in the first, 2 in the second. A run here, and Greg Gagne, who singled home a run and scored as well last inning. Been batting practice thus far for the Minnesota Twins. 2 down, runners at the corners. Fastball and a fly ball down the right field line, near the line, and the ball is foul as both Alomar and Carter gave chase.
I mentioned that Cito Gaston wanted to avoid using a left-hand pitcher against the Twins, which is why Jimmy Key didn't start. But if you look at the raw numbers, the Twins really are as effective against righties and lefties. The only 2 hitters that are really affected in their lineup by right-handers, strangely enough, Kirby Puckett is over 100 points lower against righties, and Shane Mack, but he has 2 hits tonight, so that strategy did not pay off.
Gagne, an underrated shortstop through the years. Very quiet, gets the job done. The 0-1 pitch to him. Went around. Mark Johnson hesitated and then gave a dramatic call. So it'll be strike 2 to Gagne.
Fans don't like it, but most of the time hitters do, and Gagne did. The barrel of that bat went through the hitting area. Here's a count again where Tom Kelly will possibly send Pagliarulo. Wells has an outstanding pickoff move, but he can get Pagliarulo caught between first and second and try to score Shane Mack.
Wells leads the major leagues with 13 pickoffs. He goes over there again. In fact, the entire Twins staff had 11. So Pagliarulo has to be wary of David Wells.
I mentioned Leo DeRocher and the late Billy Martin being similar managers. Billy Martin always had a play here where the runner at first would actually fall down, take 2 steps and fall down and hope the pitcher threw there. When he did that, the runner on third would trot home.
No balls and 2 strikes, 2 down, runners at first and third. There goes the runner from first, and they're going to have Shane Mack trapped. And on the pickoff, on the rundown, the tag is made by Borders to retire the side. So they sent Pagliarulo, Borders to Gruber, and Borders applies the tag, but the Twins get another run.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the American League Championship Series.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
That's not a mistake. Yes, Minnesota has 4 stolen bases tonight. Everyone talked about the Blue Jays' speed. Jack Morris not allowed a run in the last 21 innings. Only an infield hit so far tonight. Twins have won all 6 postseason games at the Metrodome. It's 5-0. 5-8-0, 0-1-2, and the rundown erased the Twins base runner Mack to end the last inning.
Twins tried to steal a run, and here's Borders' options. He's going to make some kind of a bluff towards second, but Shane Mack, who has good speed but not good instincts yet as a base runner, gets trapped off. And you see Borders make the tag. Watch him corral the ball in that big glove and then almost use his other shoulder to ward off Shane Mack. Tough job catching and tagging.
Some catchers like to put both hands on the ball.
Right.
But he got the job done. Here's Roberto Alomar leading off in the 4th inning against Jack Morris. Rounds it to the opposite field for a base hit. That is the first clean base hit of the game for the Blue Jays. Gruber was safe in an infield single in the 2nd. So the leadoff man is aboard. Second base hit for Toronto. You're down 5-0, and normally this would be a running situation for the Blue Jays. Does Cito Gaston all of a sudden say, let's change it?
I doubt it, because with Roberto Alomar, White Carter, that's the way they score. I don't think you'll see him take that part of their game away. And Alomar is so talented at reading moves. Morris very easy to steal against, the combination of Morris and Harper.
Joe Carter fly to center his first time up. Fouls off the pitch for a strike. Well, this was one of the 2 big trades, but the big one. Carter and Alomar to Toronto for slugger Fred McGriff and shortstop Tony Fernandez.
And the Padres are happy because McGriff hit a lot of home runs. Fernandez just had some thumb surgery, but the Blue Jays extremely happy. They have their best all-around player, Alomar, and their best run producer in Carter.
Ball gets away, no advance, and you talk about why the Blue Jays would still play the running game. Keep in mind that Harper still has his problems behind the plate.
Yeah, and psychologically, if Alomar just stays put, and the Blue Jays don't attempt to steal, you're giving the Minnesota Twins the feeling that we've beaten you at your game. I don't think Cito Gaston wants that to happen. If Alomar gets a good lead and reads the pitch right, he'd steal.
53 stolen bases, second in the American League for Roberto Alomar. 1-1 the count to Joe Carter. And that's one way that Joe Morris is going to use to keep the runners close. Morris has not been adept at holding runners on in his own right. Alomar doesn't go. The fastball in for strike 2, 1-2.
Just in case, he said, look what Gagne is saying. Ooh, you. If the mouth was closed, it would be, for me. I'm covering. That says Knobloch. If Alomar runs, you cover. Ooh.
And there it is. Knobloch, who shaded towards second, would be the man to cover as Carter grounds it foul. And the count remains a ball and 2 strikes.
Those are the subtle little ways that ball players have to communicate. Obviously, the noise factor in the Metrodome, a problem for outfielders, but also the way infielders communicate.
Rich Hacker, the third base coach. Mike Squires over at first. And with the noise, you'll also have problems as far as cutoffs with runners advancing tonight as well. Fly ball hit to right center field. Puckett coming over, and it's between the fielders. Alomar is on his way to third, and Hacker is going to wave him in. And here comes the throw to the plate. It's going to be close. Alomar's out.
Wow, very uncharacteristic. You see Alomar come around third and not really turn on the jets. Puckett, who had a problem picking up the ball in the field, got it in quickly. And Alomar with the wide turn, and Harper in perfect position to grab the ball and make the sweep tag. That's one of the advantages of that catcher's glove. That's almost like a first baseman's glove. You don't often do that to Roberto Alomar.
And it's still 5-0. Runner at third, and a bounding ball hit to second baseman Knobloch. The run will score as Olerud gets an RBI. But Toronto looking for more than just a run. And a great relay from Puckett to Gagne to Harper. Got Alomar, but Olerud on the ground out gets a run in, and is now a 5-1 ball game in favor of the Twins here in the fourth.
They are high-fiving and congratulating in that dugout, but you know that's disappointment. They had a chance to get right back in this thing.
Here is Kelly Gruber. Fouls it at the plate for strike 1. A leadoff single and then a double into the gap. And it had to be pretty much in the gap for Puckett not to catch up to that. That was a deep drive to right center. Gruber had the first Blue Jay hit, an infield hit, and stole a base. Looks at a fastball inside, 1-1.
Minnesota Twins fans are so accustomed to Puckett catching everything out there. Gold Glove winner, but he has lost a step, but the accurate arm is still there.
Chopped foul. A ball and 2 strikes to Kelly Gruber.
He, like Carter, had a little problem. When that ball left the bat, it was about a count or 2 before Puckett got into motion, so he had a little problem in his own ballpark picking that ball up off the bat.
Jack Morris. 1 run on 3 hits. Bases clear with 2 outs. Strikes him out on a fastball to retire the side. 3 strikeouts for Morris. The Blue Jays get a run, but only 1 run, and after 3.5, it's 5-1 Twins. Jim, normally when you hold a baseball, it's to show how a pitcher grips a ball. Being a great pitcher as you were, that's not the case now, huh?
Well, the late Leo DeRocher that you mentioned, what a great manager he was, and unusual. Leo used to use a baseball, as Casey Stengel did, to give to the night elevator operator back when ball players stayed in hotels like that. And he would say about midnight curfew time, hey, get me some autographs of the players, right? Then in the next morning, Leo would go to the desk and he'd have all the names of the guys that broke curfew. A trick that DeRocher and Stengel made famous.
Tricks of the trade. Greg Gagne leading off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Takes ball 1. Gagne was at the plate when Pagliarulo tried to steal second, and Shane Mack was trapped off third and was tagged out on a rundown. Gagne has a single, an RBI, and a run scored as he fouls it back 1-1. It has been 10 years since a team has scored in each of the first 3 innings of a postseason game. The last time, you have to go back to the Yankees, who did it against the Dodgers in the World Series in '81. David Wells in relief of Tom Candiani. Fires inside. 2 balls and a strike. Not many back from the '87 championship team, Jim.
Gagne is one of them. Ironically, no pitchers. Very unusual for a team to come back to postseason play in 4 years with an entirely new pitching staff.
Fly ball, center field, Devon White. Plenty of room out there. Retires Gagne for out number 1.
Well, you see him lope out there with those graceful, almost panther-like strides, and it's kind of interesting watching the center fielders. Devon White with those kind of strides, he's going to win a Gold Glove. Kirby Puckett already has, but when you look at the way they play center field, Devon White is a little like Edwin Moses in double knits, and Kirby Puckett's a little bit like Ironhead Hayward. But they both get the job done in different ways.
Don't they ever? Here's Dan Gladden with 1 out. Big swing off a breaking pitch. Gladden and Knobloch, they talk about getting the first 2 hitters of the Blue Jays out. Well, Gladden and Knobloch tonight are each 2 for 2, 2 stolen bases, 2 runs scored, and an RBI. They already had a night's work. Fastball fouled into the mid borders, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any difference as a pitcher what lineup you're facing. Getting the first 2 hitters out is always important, but Toronto's top of their order is so much more explosive that the Twins has been tonight.
Still 2 strikes. How do they know?
Yeah. Must be out here in pregame workouts when they got shorts on or something.
The 0-2 to Gladden. Fouls it back. Gladden, of course, had been with the Giants. He's got a lot of experience and had not been hitting that well as of late, but Tom Kelly said, whatever it is, I need Gladden in there for his glove.
There was some question the last week of the regular season if Gladden did not begin to hit better, Gene Larkin would have been the leadoff hitter.
Strikes him out. Wells with his first strikeout, and there are 2 gone here in the 4th inning.
Well, ever since Abner Doubleday invented this game, there's 2 areas you pitch hitters, low and away and high and tight. And if you have enough on it in that zone, you get them all out. And Wells did right there with a good fastball. The right about letter high, tough to catch up with.
A great story for the Twins this year. It was Chuck Knobloch out of Houston, Texas. Won the second base job as a rookie and good chance to be Rookie of the Year. 2 for 2, but flies out to Carter to retire the side. So they finally get the rookie Knobloch, and after 4 innings, the Twins lead the Blue Jays 5-1.
Trade you a Paul Molitor for a Tony Gwynn. Okay.
What? I'm worth 2 Molitors.
No way. This guy's been out in the sun too long.
Check out the stats. 329 lifetime batting average and 4 batting titles.
I was breaking World Series records when he was still a rookie.
Official Major League Baseball cards. The original choice of collectors and fans alike. Make all your favorite players come alive.
You want a fair trade? Me for 2 of him and a Jim Abbott.
Hey, I resent that.
The preceding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Well, tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Braves, what a great story. Bobby Bonilla meets Terry Pendleton. Boy, those are two MVP candidates. Sid Breen, former Pirate, talking with his former teammates Drabek and Glavin tomorrow in Game 1. That's going to be quite a series, Jim.
You know, so much is made of who wins during the regular season. Toronto a big edge over Minnesota. The Braves a big edge over Pittsburgh. When you look at the history of the playoffs, it hasn't been a real factor. But you know what is in that series? The Braves left-handed pitching. That could be a big factor.
Glavin, Avery, and Leibrandt. Candy Maldonado swings at the first pitch from Jack Morris and lifts it deep to center field, but Kirby Puckett has plenty of room and makes the catch for the first out. $1, is that what it costs for a homer hanky now?
And portions of the sales to a very good cause, the United Way. And it's kind of, we were down in Atlanta last week and we saw the Tomahawk, which started by accident, some of Deion Sanders' fraternity brothers, and the homer hanky started, well, not with fraternity brothers, but a lady just waving it in the stands. It caught on, and it's now a postseason tradition.
The spirit of the upper Midwesterners here is something to behold, as is the case in Atlanta, where the fans have rallied around their last to first dramatic stories this year. Ground ball by Mullenix, glove by Gagne. The throw is in time. You're looking at the best fielding team in the American League doing their thing.
And a possible Gold Glove winner at shortstop. He's right up there with Cal Ripken. This is something you can do on turf. Ideally, as a shortstop, you like to get in front of the ball, but on turf, Gagne anticipates the true hop, and he can play it to the side, still catch the ball, and a strong, accurate arm.
2 down to Pat Borders. Well, the Blue Jays are going after the first pitches from Morris here in this 5th inning.
Well, and Morris will pitch to the scoreboard. He doesn't have a particularly low earned run average like some of the pitchers in this series, but he knows with 5 runs up there, he's not going to nibble, try to hit the corners and end up walking somebody. He's going to challenge him. Also, the Blue Jays hitters know that, so they say, hey, the first pitch is going to be there. Let's hack at it.
Borders hit a deep drive to Kirby Puckett to the warning track his first time up. Change up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Morris has allowed 1 run on 3 hits, 2 of them in the 4th inning when the Blue Jays scored their run. But a big defensive play for the Twins kept it from being a worse scenario.
57 through the 5th inning, about normal. And one thing about Jack Morris, Tom Kelly will allow him to run that total up to 125 or 30. He would not do that with younger pitchers like Tapani or Erickson. But Morris has proved his durability over the years.
And a 1-hopper back to Morris, and he retires the side for the 3rd time in 5 innings. The middle of the 5th, the Twins leading 5-1 in Game 1.
Back at the Metrodome, you may have wondered why Cito Gaston did not go out to the pitcher's mound during the last pitching change. Well, the reason is he's been in excruciating back pain for almost 2 months now. He came and stretched for 30 minutes before tonight's game, and he's been wearing all evening this nerve stimulator to help alleviate the pain. If that weren't enough, the poor guy suffered food poisoning 4 days ago, and today he can only eat soup and eggs. The good news, bad news is I guess he hopes that this goes on through the World Series. Dick?
Well, it's got to be hurting with the score the way it is now, as Kirby Puckett lifts a fly ball to center field. Devon White tracks it down, 1 away.
Cito Gaston is the only manager he said to be on the disabled list. That's another remarkable thing about what the Blue Jays have accomplished. He has been in extreme pain, missed a lot of games. Gene Tennis, his hitting coach, had to take over for a while. He held the 2.5 game lead, and between the 2 of them, they've led this team to a division title.
Tennis had a record of 19-14 in his stewardship. 1 out, and Ken Herbeck hits a foul off to the right, and of course a lot of rumors that Gene Tennis might wind up with a managerial job, and maybe Milwaukee looms.
With his ex-teammate Sal Bando. They were, of course, both members of those world champion Oakland Athletics teams back in the mid-70s.
The 0-1 to Herbeck, who's 0 for 2, and he lines a base hit to right field. First base hit of the night for Kent Herbeck, and the first hit off of David Wells, who relieved Candiotti.
Very close to the neck for a power hitter. Kent Herbeck holds that bat. Similar to Pagliarulo, but great hand-eye coordination and quick hands. Another example of the Minnesota Twins lineup. They hit equally, left-handers and right-handers. Herbeck's average against left-handers over 280.
Here's Chili Davis, who singled home 2 runs in the first inning, walked, and scored in the third. He's also has a stolen base. The Twins jumped on Tom Candiotti early. He was knocked out in the third inning after giving up 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and a run in the third. 4 stolen bases by the Minnesota Twins thus far, as they turn the tables on the Blue Jays. And Jack Morris has quieted the Blue Jay bats thus far. Strike 1 to Davis. There's Morris, who has some breathing room with a 4-run lead. Cito Gaston rolling the dice and going with Candiotti instead of Jimmy Key, the left-hander who has had a winning record against the Minnesota Twins.
And if he is consistent with his approach, he said, I will not change in Game 4. Todd Stottlemyre scheduled to start that one. So Candiotti, conceivably, it could be into Tuesday before he would pitch again, or Monday.
One ball and 1 strike to Davis.
And that works against the entire Toronto starting rotation. Key will have 10 days rest before he takes him out in Game 3. Now, after the short start tonight with all that rest, that hurts Candiotti's chances of staying sharp also. It works against both of them.
David Wells, who came in for Candiotti in the third inning. 1 ball and 1 strike to Davis. 1 out. Herbeck, the base runner, takes up high. Jimmy Key's record lifetime here at the Metrodome is 3-0. So Cito Gaston decided to bypass Key, who had good success in this park.
And Jimmy Key did a good job. He was very disappointed, but he didn't spout off in the papers. He had a private meeting with Cito Gaston about his disappointment, but he's accepted it, even though he would rather have been on the mound tonight.
Three balls and a strike. So Wells falls behind. Herbeck no threat to run on at first base. Brian Harper is on deck.
Talked about David Wells' effective pickoff move, but oftentimes what left-handers get caught doing is they look at the runner, which Wells is doing to Herbeck, and then they don't pick the target up quickly enough at home plate. As a result, he's missed the strike zone 3 pitches.
And no reason to look at the target or the runner, because Herbeck is not going to run. He has hardly a lead. 3 balls and 1 strike. Fastball fouled off, and the count is full.
See, oftentimes pitchers will tip off a pickoff move. They'll look at home, throw to first, but Wells is looking right at Herbeck, and then he picks up the target. Now, that doesn't mean you can't throw strikes pitching like that, but it does put a little more pressure on the pitcher to pick up that target at the last moment, get it in the strike zone.
Goes, and the ball hit in the air to right center field. Devon White is there to make the catch. Herbeck actually was running on the 3-2 with 1 out. Goes back to first base, and there are 2 out here in the Twins' 5th inning. So Charles Theodore Davis, better known as Chili, retired for the first time tonight. And here is Brian Harper, who is hitless in 2 trips. Curveball misses, 1-0.
Mentioned how rare it is for a catcher to hit 300 in the National League. You go back to Ted Simmons in the 70s. In the American League, the late great Thurman Munson. And Harper really went to the minor leagues and taught himself how to hit again by reading Teddy Ballgame's book, Ted Williams.
Fouls it out of play.
Pretty good company there in making contact. And he's a free swinger. Throw it inside, he'll try to pull it. Throw it outside, he'll hit it the other way. Uses the entire field. Good breaking ball hitter.
Unusual to be on both lists.
Yeah.
1 ball and 1 strike with 2 out. Herbeck, the runner at first base. 5-1 to score, and a curveball gets him. 1-2 now.
Set for the fastball, and watch Wells drop the curveball. He's got a good one. Drops it in at the last moment.
David Wells came in the 3rd inning. And a line drive left field. Maldonado rushes over to cut it off, and that may save a run, even though Herbeck's the runner. In at second with a double is Brian Harper. And good hustle by Maldonado might have saved a run there in the corner. It's a double, though, for Harper.
Well, he took the curve. Wells thought he could get the fastball inside, but again, when you throw it inside, Harper is quick. He could pull it. Here's the play you're referring to. The Blue Jays have had outstanding play in the outfield. Maldonado, not considered a Gold Glover, but even with that little side hop off the seam of the turf, he gets over there, cuts it off, and that prevents Herbeck from scoring.
So Herbeck remains at third. Harper's at second. They're going to walk Shane Mack with first base open and pitch to Mike Pagliarulo. So Wells, the left-hander, will pitch to the left-handed hitting Pags, and the bases will be loaded here with 2 out.
Late game situations in a closer game, Tom Kelly has rookie Scott Leyes, a right-hand hitter that he uses in situations like this. Pagliarulo, the better fielder of the two, and with this lead, he'll probably stay in the game. Wrong.
That's why.
Yeah. Well, Scott Leyes, like you mentioned, rookie Chuck Knobloch, who has made a terrific adjustment from shortstop to second base. Leyes the same way. A minor league shortstop has moved to third base and done a good job, and Kelly obviously wants to try to put a couple more runs on the scoreboard right here.
Does that indicate to you that he doesn't feel a 4-run lead is enough of a lead here in the 5th inning? Galen Cisco, by the way, trotting to the mound.
No, I think in situations like this, when you have done things all year the same way, one thing managers want to show their players that just because it's postseason play, we're going to operate the same way. And I think right now Tom Kelly is trying to show some confidence in young Scott Leyes and giving him this at bat. Blue Jays have not seen a great deal of Leyes, and I think the trip by Cisco is to tell David West a little bit of, or David Wells rather, a little bit of where Leyes' power is, and maybe a little of the pitching scouting report on him.
So Scott Leyes is going to bat for Pagliarulo. Kent Herbeck on at third base. Brian Harper, who wrapped a double down the line on at second, and Shane Mack intentionally walked at first. Scott Leyes hit .286 this year with 20 runs batted in. That's what he is as a pinch hitter. Looks at a curveball. And a bluff to third. Nobody was covering, and Herbeck gets back easy. Leyes has faced Wells 3 times and has a double for his efforts. And a base hit here could break this one open here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Fastball and a strike, 1-1.
And I think that's the reason for Tom Kelly's move right now. If he were to hold Leyes off for later in the game, he's going to see mostly right-handers. Ward, Timlin, or Hinkie.
Wells trying to keep the Blue Jays in the game here and get Leyes the pinch hitter. 1-1 in the dirt. 2-1 now. And bullpen activity for the Blue Jays. One of their middle inning relievers, Mike Timlin, who has not been throwing all that well lately, is tossing in the bullpen.
Early in the year, he was a leading candidate for Rookie of the Year.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, you talk about the effect of a crowd, and can it affect a pitcher? You bet it can. I recall back in the late 70s, Bert Hooton, pitching for the Dodgers, complained on a ball strike called by Harry Wendelstedt. The Veterans Stadium crowd got on him, and here was a veteran. They had literally hooted him right out of the game. He threw about 14 straight balls. That's what David Wells is fighting right here and doing a good job of it.
Herbeck, Harper, and Mack. And Leyes with the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes and 2 outs. The Yonkers, New York native waits and swings and misses, strike 3. So Wells gets Leyes, and the Twins don't score and leave the bases loaded. And we'll return to the Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. It's 5-1 as we go to the 6th inning here, and we want to bring you up to date on the schedule of both the American League and National League Championship Series. Tomorrow we'll be with you at 3 o'clock Eastern for Game 2 here at the Metrodome, and then a day off and 3 games coming up at the Sky Dome. Sunday's game, if necessary, of course. In the National League, we get underway tomorrow night at 8:30 at Three Rivers Stadium, the Braves and the Pirates.
A well-rested Pirate team, and don't think that just because they clinched it early, they won't be ready. They have plenty of talent. The Braves have the left-hand pitchers, but Bonds and Van Slyke can hit left-hand pitching also. They're deep up and down that lineup. Great pitching. Should be an exciting series.
Scott Leyes is the new Twins third baseman, going in for Mike Pagliarulo, who he pinch hit for last inning, and Manuel Lee takes low ball 1. The Blue Jays scored their only run in the 4th inning. Alomar singled and Carter doubled him home, or doubled I should say, and Alomar was thrown out at home. Olerud got him in on a ground out. Fastball for a strike. 1-1.
It's another subtle example of Tom Kelly using the entire roster for the whole season. He gets Leyes in the ball game right here in playoff competition and pressure. Get him acclimated to it.
He did not check his swing, says Tim Welke. He went around, so it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Again, about 95% of the time, when you don't think the hitter goes through the hitting area, they do. Only the strong guys can hold that bat up. Canseco's and fielders. The little guys, once it starts, it's gone.
Strikes him out. Foul tip held on to by Harper. And that is the 4th strikeout of the game for Jack Morris. And there's one away in the top of the 6th inning.
You see the determination, and you see the fastball. No tricks to Manuel Lee. Just a good fastball right down the middle, and Morris still has one.
We mentioned that Carter doubled, and Alomar was thrown out on the fine defensive play, the relay from Puckett to Gagne to Harper that got Alomar at home before a ground out, got the only run in for Toronto. And since then, Jack Morris has retired 6 in a row. Here's Devon White. Fouls off the first pitch for a strike. He's 0 for 2. One of the great baseball fans in America happens to be the commissioner, Fay Vincent, here tonight.
Enjoying some of the fine cuisine here at the Metrodome.
And finishing off the hot dog with dispatch, I might add. Maybe another one before he's through. Who knows? 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to White. Fouled out of play. To show you how sharp Jack Morris has been tonight, he has not had 2 balls on a batter since the 3rd inning.
And you see primarily fastballs. Again, the book on the Toronto lineup in general, it isn't the same for every pitcher. You pitch according to your strengths as well as the opposition's weakness, but White with a longer swing, much more vulnerable to the fastball.
1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out. And a line drive left field. He fought that fastball up in his eyes and fought it off and has the base hit, number 4 in the game for the Blue Jays. So with 1 out and 1 on, Roberto Alomar coming up, followed by Carter.
Saw Chili Davis in the 1st inning hit a pitcher's pitch up in the zone, and White does the same thing. Jack Morris is not unhappy with that pitch. White just the ability to make contact and fight it off.
So he was not going to the opposite field. He fought that off. There's a difference. Here's Alomar, who's 1 for 2 with a single, thrown out trying to score on Carter's double. So the Blue Jays trying to mount a threat here in the 6th inning, trailing 5-1. And a great opportunity for Toronto to turn loose their running game with White at first and Alomar at the plate.
And they will. And White will get down to second base. See Tom Kelly giving the sign to Brian Harper. That tells Jack Morris what to do. Step off, pitch out, throw to first.
Strike. Alomar started to go and then thought of it and went back to first, so it's 0-1 the count. Rich Hacker getting the signs from Cito Gaston in the Blue Jays dugout.
See, caught 10 times. Great speed, still working on becoming an accomplished base stealer.
And the look sends him back to first base.
Now Gagne isn't saying, ooh, you. He's saying, me, me. Alomar, they expect to pull the ball to Knobloch.
And the runner goes, and the pitch is swung out and fouled at the plate. A good jump. White seemed to get a good jump, didn't get far because the pitch was fouled at the plate, and it's 0-2 now to Roberto. Tom Kelly lets the players play. 11 years in the minors. Major League career limited to 49 at-bats with the Twins 16 years ago. Runner does not go, and the 0-2 pitch fouled back by Roberto Alomar.
And that graphic right there tells you why Tom Kelly sends those signs in. They'd like to disrupt Devon White's rhythm. Step off, throw over, pitch out, or throw the ball in the strike zone.
But whatever it is, as Kelly gives the signs, it takes away from the concentration of Jack Morris with all of this going on.
Yes, it does.
Let's see if he fights through it. There's a pitch out. The runner wasn't going. 1-2.
Looking in again.
One out, one on. 5-1 the score in the 6th. Another foul ball, so Alomar keeps fighting off Morris's pitches, making him work here.
Yeah, you could sit at home and find out what Jack Morris is throwing. Obviously, the Blue Jays cannot pick those signs up, but you saw Brian Harper point the one toward his inner thigh. That's a fastball inside. That's where that pitch was. Looks like a breaking ball.
It is a breaking ball, and a good stop by Harper prevents an advance. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Harper makes his living as a hitter, and now he is trying to hang in there and handling the ball in the dirt.
You get criticized as Brian Harper has, and you look at Jack Morris's pitch count. Not as much of a factor with a veteran like Morris. You get criticized for not throwing runners out, but subtle little plays like that sometimes go unnoticed. He saved a base right there with that block.
Blue Jays trailing the Twins 5-1. A throw to first, and White gets back, and this is the best opportunity since 2 innings ago that the Blue Jays have of denting the lead. Alomar was thrown out at home. Toronto scored only 1 run. Got to take advantage of all their chances, and Morris trying to close the door, and running is White on the pitch. Got a good jump and a fly ball to center field. Kirby Puckett, and they lost the ball, and the ball is safe, and they're going to get the, let's see, is White on at second base?
A bloop base hit, and a rare example of the Twins losing a ball in their own ballpark.
Now Devon White must have sensed that, because he didn't go back to first base on the fly ball.
See, Kirby, he doesn't know where it is. Knobloch doesn't pick it up off the bat, and you see it hit in your screen right there. White was heading back toward first. But with his speed and the high bounce, he gets to second easily. Shane Mack can't pick it up.
You know, Jim, as soon as Puckett indicated that he couldn't find the ball, Devon White then ran to second base. He could sense that, and therefore he was only a couple of steps off the bag, so he got in there safely. Normally, the runner goes back to first and is forced. So here's Carter. Swing and a miss on a fastball. Runners at first and second and 1 out in the 6th inning. And the biggest threat of the night for the Blue Jays. Carter with 33 homers this year.
This is the way the Blue Jays hoped the game would go. Alomar and White on base and Carter at the plate.
White at second, Alomar at first. Fastball lines foul, and that gets the bullpen scrambling for the Twins.
Yeah, a little adjustment for those guys in the bullpen because of postseason play. They'd added some seats, and the bullpen a little closer to the action. Looked like backup catcher Junior Ortiz got the brunt of that one.
Harper goes to the mound to talk to Morris. Carter over talking to Olerud. Carter doubled in his last time up and scored the only Blue Jays run.
See, that conversation was about that last swing. Carter turned on the inside fastball, which is where they were trying to pitch him, and he hit it rather well. So Harper's saying, hey, he's conscious in there. Which way do you want to go? Want to take the breaking ball away or go in there again?
The fastball away, and Carter fouls it back, so they compromised. Huh? But he was right on that fastball. So the last 2 pitches, Carter has been right on Jack Morris's heater.
Pulled one and fouled the other straight back.
White the runner at second base, Alomar at first, with 1 out here in the 6th inning.
You can see Devon White peek in. This is a game that all big league teams play. You get a veteran player at the plate. If there's any way the runner can indicate to him location, inside, outside, it's a helpful tip.
Another foul ball, and that was a great bit of hitting at the plate by Carter because he got a piece of a real nasty pitch low and away.
He's pretty close to the plate, and he has great plate coverage. He's faced Jack Morris enough to guess rather well with him. Now they're down 5-1, but Joe's enjoying it. And that's what the good hitters do. They foul off the pitcher's pitches, and they get one in their zone, take advantage of it.
Hey, those smiles were missing from the Blue Jays clubhouse last year. 2 strikes with 1 out, 2 on. 5-1 Twins, 6th inning. And he jammed him, got him inside, and Carter fouls it off again. Morris is throwing a lot of pitches this inning, Jim.
Go back to that location theory. Brian Harper, the Twins catcher, got in a fight with ex-Ranger Steve Buechele over that because catchers don't like that. But actually, it's been going on in baseball for years. There's a pretty simple way to combat it. You look outside, hold your glove there, move back inside at the last moment.
Pop foul, and that will go out of play. Jack Morris has thrown 21 pitches here in the 6th inning. So his pitch count is getting up there. And he's got Carter, and on deck is Olerud. Twins with 5 runs in the first 3 innings tonight, including 4 stolen bases. And now they're hoping Morris can keep the Blue Jays at bay.
That's nice to see. There's pressure in the League Championship Series, none other for a ball player. Carter's enjoying.
Setting up on the outside corner, and a line drive, base hit. White will round third and be held there by Hacker as Shane Mack quickly gets it in, and that will load the bases with 1 out for John Olerud. He's really enjoying it. He's having a blast out here.
He's looking back at Morris and giving him a little jeer because they fought one another for so many years. Morris has tried to change his pitching pattern on him and tried to get the high fastball by Joe in that at bat. Joe guessed right and lets Jack know about it.
So the bases are loaded, and the tying run comes to the plate in John Olerud. who was 0 for 2 but drove in the Blue Jays run in the 4th with a ground ball to second base. To 1, Olerud up with the bases loaded. Inside, ball 1. So the youngest player in this game, quiet John Olerud. Coach John Sullivan said he's the kind of a guy that I wouldn't mind my daughter bringing home as the Minnesota bullpen gets started.
He's a remarkable story as the Twins pen gets up. Suffered the brain aneurysm at Washington State. Blue Jays gambled on him, drafted him in the 3rd round.
1 ball and no strikes. It's low. So now it's 2-0. So Olerud should get a good pitch here from Jack Morris and might turn on it. In case you're wondering, as Dick Such, the pitching coach, goes to the mound, the Blue Jays did not have a grand slam homer this season.
And you mentioned the quiet young man and the quiet approach at the plate, and that's what makes him a dangerous hitter for the Twins in this situation.
Look at that pitch total, 24 here in the 6th inning. Carl Willis and Mark Guthrie are the 2 pitchers who have started to throw. Devon White, the runner at 3rd base. Alomar is at 2nd. Joe Carter at 1st. All on base as a result of singles. And the cleanup hitter for the Blue Jays with the count in his favor, 2-0. Fouls it back 2-1 and got a good fastball to hit there.
Fastball hitter, fastball pitcher. Morris had to challenge him, bases loaded, and Olerud, that's one of those just missed it. A hitter oftentimes will say, I get one good pitch to hit in every at-bat. That was a good one for Olerud. He just fouled it straight back.
Here's the 2-1 pitch to Olerud. 3-1 now, and Morris is 1 pitch away from forcing in a run. 3-1 the count to Olerud, and the Blue Jays showing some life here in the 6th inning. Keep in mind a pop fly to left to center field, lost in the dome lights by Kirby Puckett, and Shane Mack fell for a single. Olerud 2 for 12 career-wise against Morris. Here's the 3-1 pitch, and he got a fastball fouled off, and the count is full. Great enthusiasm here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, but a bit apprehensive are the Twins fans, and I'm sure Tom Kelly as well. 5-1 lead. And the payoff pitch coming up. Line to right field. It's a base hit. Sharply hit. They're going to hold the runner at 3rd. White will score, and out at first base. Wait, is he back in? He is. Safe is Olerud as the throw came in to Herbeck. Twins very nearly made another great defensive play. It's now 5-2.
Good fastball hitter, 3-2 pitch. Olerud right on it. Hit so well that Rich Hacker cannot send Alomar home. And look at the quick actions of Ken Herbeck. They talk about the big body, but great quickness, and he almost catches Olerud leaning. He just avoided the tag and got that right arm back in there. Mark Johnson right on the tag, on the call.
So Olerud is on at 1st. He knocks in his 2nd run. And here is Kelly Gruber, an infield hit and a strikeout. Fastball, strike 1. 1 out. Alomar is at 3rd base. Joe Carter, the runner, at 2nd, and John Olerud at 1st. It's a 5-2 game. The tying run is at 1st base, and the go-ahead run is at the plate in Kelly Gruber. Foul back, and Morris is ahead of him 2 strikes. That's the 30th pitch of the inning.
See Robbie Alomar encouraging Gruber, and this young man is so into the game. He was telling John Olerud over at first base, get a bigger lead so you could get into second base and break up a possible double play ball.
4 straight singles after Manuel Lee struck out to start the 6th inning. 5-2. Twins about hit the Jays 10-7. And a line drive over Leas's head into left field. They're going to wave both runners in. Alomar's in. Here's the play at the plate. Safe is Joe Carter. And it's a 5-4 ball game. 5 straight hits by the Blue Jays.
Well, everyone anticipated low-scoring games, but just a couple of mistakes against these teams is all it takes. Gruber with that ball into left field. Gladden's throw on target, but Harper just a little bit too far back. And we'll see where he had to catch the ball right there. He was not able to block Carter off the plate. He makes the sweep tag, but Carter's able to make the alert hook slide and get the front leg in there. Harper reaching for the ball. See, ideally, you'd like to get the ball first as a catcher and use that front leg to block Carter off the plate. He couldn't do it.
Jack Morris has been relieved by Tom Kelly, and here's a hand for him. And Carl Willis will be coming in, and the St. Paul native leads the game with the score 5-4 now. The Blue Jays have come back here in the 6th. New pitcher for the Minnesota Twins is Carl Willis in relief of Jack Morris. And Candy Maldonado will be the batter. Morris is responsible for the base runners. Olerud on at second. Gruber at first. It's 5-4 now in favor of the Twins. So the tying run is at second. Lead run is at first. Still with only 1 out. Maldonado 0 for 2. Takes a fastball up high. Carl Willis, 30 years old, out of Danville, Virginia. Appeared in 40 games for the Twins this year after starting the season at Portland. Fly ball to left field. Gladden is back. And back and makes the catch at the base of the wall. And Olerud, who was halfway, goes back to second base. And that ball's really carried, Jim, and almost bounced off that plexiglass.
You see Gladden take a glance up at the roof. The large crowd creates a little heat, and oftentimes the ball will carry a little bit farther. And Gladden right here, I think, has a little difficulty picking it up, and then just gets to the wall in time to make the catch.
And a big story as we look at the play again. Carter had problems looking for the ball, and obviously Puckett did when Alomar got a single. Key play in this inning.
Yeah, you can see Gladden throw his hands up as if he had lost the ball.
Here is Rance Mullenix, the designated hitter for the Blue Jays. Takes ball 1. Mullenix is 0 for 2. Twins led 5-0 after the first 3 innings. But the Blue Jays have come back with 1 in the 4th and 3 here in the 6th, and 2 runners on base. It's quieted the crowd, this Toronto rally, as Mullenix takes the big cut and misses 1-1. So both starting pitchers are gone. Tom Candiotti worked 2 2/3 innings and gave up all of the Minnesota runs. Morris leaves after working 5 1/3. Two balls and a strike to Mullenix, who began his career with the Angels in the mid-70s as a shortstop and has been a very professional and experienced and reliable DH and pinch hitter.
Good description, a professional hitter. Not really one area of the strike zone that you can pitch him consistently and get him out.
Rounds it right at Leas. He gets the force at third to retire the side. 8 men come up, and 3 runs cross the plate as the Blue Jays drive Morris from the mound and now trail by only a run, 5-4. The scene at the Metrodome. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. 5-4 the score now in favor of Minnesota. Dick Stockton, Jim Cotton, Leslie Visser with us, and a very interesting situation at the end of the last inning with Carl Willis, who after being a journeyman for many years, having an effective year. What about all this?
And Cito Gaston came out immediately after that inning. You see him going to his mouth, going to his glove, and of course the players will watch, make sure he wipes that off. Cito came out to question Larry Barnett, say, hey, is he loading that ball up? I didn't see him wipe anything off. One more look at it. And then right there to his throat. And of course he's a North Carolinian, and there was another North Carolinian rather famous for those kind of antics, and that was Gaylord Perry, who went in the Hall of Fame. And that's all part of the mannerisms of a pitcher. Oftentimes players and umpires have to find out they're not doctoring up that ball.
I don't think Gaylord ever did something that looked so obvious, perhaps, as that. He had his tricks, but whatever it is, we've got a ball game here, 5-4, and Greg Gagne leading off in the bottom of the 6th against David Wells, and offers it the first pitch and lines it to Devon White in center field, and he makes the catch for out number 1. At the conclusion of tonight's game, Jim Cott and I, mostly Jim, will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game.
Your turn tonight.
Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the players' behalf to the Special Olympics. Well, you pitched 900 innings in your career, and I only pitched 0. So I may give you the nod still.
Speaking of pitching innings, the Blue Jays are in position right now with David Wells holding the Twins off. They can take advantage of their deep bullpen by getting back in this game.
And they've got that bullpen working as Dan Gladden comes up and takes ball 1. Bob McDonald is the left-hander. Mike Timlin is a right-hander, also working in the bullpen. Keep in mind that Henke and Ward are the chief relievers, and a soft liner 1-hop hit to Alomar, who makes the play. As Leslie Visser reported, Tom Henke could be used perhaps only 1 inning tonight, either as a setup man or as a closer. So I think the Blue Jays may not know exactly how they're going.
Yeah, and that puts a little more stress, not that Cito Gaston needs any more from what he's had this year, but a little more stress into making that decision. If the Blue Jays were to come back and take this lead in the 8th inning, he might be forced to use Dwayne Ward for 2 innings and keep Henke out of the game.
Here's Chuck Knobloch, 2 for 3 with a couple of singles, an RBI, a run scored. He has also stolen 2 bases. He leads American League rookies in 4 categories, and you might think that the only one who might have a chance of beating him out for Rookie of the Year would be Juan Guzman, the pitcher who's working tomorrow night for the Blue Jays.
He has made a late charge at Knobloch. That hit total, incidentally, 4 more than Rod Carew had in his rookie year.
Wow. That is impressive. Misses again inside, 2-0 to Knobloch. Kind of a cocky player. He told Andy McPhail. McPhail said, you hit 265, I'll let you come up and go to spring training with the big club. He says, no, if I hit 300, not if I hit 265, and he did.
Very confident.
3-0 now to Knobloch.
Good background. You know, back in the days when a lot of players wanted to stay in the minor leagues because the money was better, his Uncle Ed was a terrific player in the Texas League. Dad was a coach. They had a great influence on his career, product of Texas A&M.
You don't want to put this guy on with Puckett, Herbeck, and Davis coming up, even though there are 2 outs. Pitch inside, ball 4. That is the second walk given up by David Wells. Kelly Gruber in to say a few words to Wells, and Galen Cisco out to the mound looking down in the bullpen, and it looks like we may see the right-hander get the call. Mike Timlin to face the right-handed hitting Kirby Puckett.
Mentioned Mike Timlin was the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year early in the year when he had an explosive fastball. It's still good, but not as dominant as it was early on. He's going to get the call.
But David Wells did the job. He did not allow a run after the Twins had scored 5. So he did his job in long relief. Let's see if Mike Timlin does his. Mike Timlin is the new pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. The rookie out of Midland, Texas, had never played at the AAA level before this season. Had just 17 games at AA, won 11 and lost 6. And 3 saves. Facing Kirby Puckett. Tall order here.
One of the reasons Cito Gaston wanted right-hand pitcher Tom Candiotti to start, because Puckett is so much more effective against lefties. You see that number.
Knobloch, the runner at first with 2 out. He goes. There's the pitch out. The pitch was high, and so is the throw, but they get him anyway. And Chuck Knobloch, who had stolen twice successfully, is nailed by Pat Borders here. Alomar puts the tag on. Couple of high throws, but that'll do it. And the inning is over. We've completed 6.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 American League Championship Series is brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. Wendy's old-fashioned hamburgers, the best hamburgers and a whole lot more. And by Allstate for home, auto, life, and business insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Even with less than their best, Timlin, watch this ball. Borders almost has to jump for it on the pitch out. Not the ideal spot, and then Borders' throw is high. Alomar has to reach for that. Knobloch appears to be in. Watch his front foot. It gets around Alomar's glove and appears to be safe for a moment, but then watch what happens. The front foot hits the bag, but his momentum carries him past the bag, and as he makes a little spin, Alomar applies the tag, and Rocky Rowe signals the out call.
So the Blue Jays trail by a run going into the top of the 7th inning. Pat Borders 0 for 2 on the night. Fouls off the first pitch from Carl Willis for strike 1. Jack Morris worked 5 1/3 innings and gave up 4 runs on 8 hits. He did not walk a batter and struck out 4. Borders will be followed by Manuel Lee, and then the top of the order, Devon White. 1 ball and 1 strike to Pat Borders. Mark Guthrie warming up in the Minnesota bullpen.
That would be in case Tom Kelly would like to see White and Alomar hit from the other side of the plate.
Fastball is chopped to second base, and a big hop for Chuck Knobloch. And there's 1 away in the 7th inning.
One of the concerns the Minnesota Twins had this year is they lost a very good setup reliever in Juan Berenguer, who's done a great job for the Atlanta Braves. Injured right now, but the man that's come in to replace him, as Kelly and such look on, is Carl Willis. He has filled that role.
Well, now it's up to the bullpen with Willis, and the Blue Jays, many people thought it had the edge in bullpen depth coming into the series. Here's Manuel Lee, has struck out twice, and facing Willis for the first time. Takes ball 1. A 3-run 6th inning, last inning. 5 straight singles resulting in 3 runs for the Blue Jays to bring him back. And a line drive to left field, and Gladden lost it and holds on to it. He had lost the ball but steadied and made the catch nonetheless. And a big story here has been fielders unable to see the balls in the dome.
That's where the John Madden mentality comes in. You see, Gladden can't see it, but he doesn't bail out. He stays with it and picks it up at the last moment. That has always been a problem. That's actually a problem in outdoor stadiums because the ball gets right in the bank of that lights, the trajectory of it.
And we go back to what Tom Kelly said. I want Gladden's glove there, and you saw Puckett and Mack and Carter have problems earlier. Here's Devon White, takes strike 1. White is 1 for 3 and singled his last time up and scored. Fastball, 0-2 to White. 2 down, nobody on base. I don't know if Carl Willis goes to the mouth, but I know he goes to the throat a lot. 1-2. This is game 1 of the American League Championship Series. The Twins have never lost a postseason game here at the Metrodome. They lead 5-4 after leading 5-1. One point it was 5-0. Breaking ball dug out of the dirt by White to hang in there at 1-2.
In Carl Willis, the Blue Jays are getting a look at almost a replica of Jack Morris. Willis was with the Tigers in the mid-'80s. Roger Craig, the pitching coach, taught Willis the split finger or fork ball, and it's been a very effective pitch for him.
Rising fastball, foul territory, and that goes out of play. We've talked about the Twins' superiority at home, 6-0 in postseason play. Yet if you look at the last 2 years, the Blue Jays actually have won 10 out of the 12 games here at the Metrodome against Minnesota.
That's one of those numbers that you can spin around. It's very hard to explain. They're a better road team.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2-2 now. Well, you know, Toronto is not intimidated here.
And that's what Tom Kelly had hoped to accomplish in that weekend series. These teams are very unique. They finished the season against one another and didn't want the Blue Jays to feel comfortable, but they are.
Foul ball down the left field line. Chasing it is Gladden, and it lands in the first 2 rows.
Of course, I think the uniqueness of domes for players adjusting to is worn off a little bit because there are more of them now. King Dome out in Seattle, and we'll be in Sky Dome in Toronto later this week. But when you come in the first couple of games and you look up at a roof like this, that's what makes this one so unique.
You said it like a true Canadian. You said Sky Dome, not the Sky Dome. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Foul ball right in front of the Blue Jays bullpen, so Devon White hangs in there. He was acquired from the Angels for outfielder Junior Felix and second baseman Luis Sojo. Everyone talks about the San Diego trade, but that was another big trade for the Blue Jays. 2 men out, nobody on base. The 2-2 pitch.
This at bat is an example of the improved Devon White. Talked about his long swing. He's always been vulnerable to the high fastball, but he has cut down on it just enough in this at bat. For example, he's made contact with a lot of pitches. Makes it a little tougher on Willis and Harper which direction to go. He's fought off the fastball and he's hit the split finger.
And he fought off another fastball. That was the 11th pitch that Willis has thrown White. On deck, if White keeps it alive, would be Alomar. Of the 8 hits for the Blue Jays, 7 of them are from their first 4 hitters in the lineup. In fact, all 8 hits from the first 5 batters. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, strike 3 in a 1-2-3 inning for Carl Willis. In the middle of the 7th inning. Standing crowd, 5-4 Twins. Well, tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Time, Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Those Miracle Braves perhaps going from last to first against the Pirates. They'll have to contend with Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds. But the Braves have power in their own right in Ron Gant, who hit 32 home runs. And the Tomahawks, well, some will be in Pittsburgh. You know, a lot will be in Atlanta. It all starts tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Time. Minneapolis area, the middle of a banner year in sports, hosting major events, the Stanley Cup Final, U.S. Open Golf Championship, Special Olympics, and now the American League Championship Series. Kirby Puckett 0 for 3, leading off in the 7th inning against Mike Timlin. Tries to bunt his way on and fouls it off for a strike.
That is one phase of Kirby Puckett's game that has changed. He has started to try to bunt more because of his power in past years. Third basemen play him rather deep, and he's tried to steal a couple of hits by dropping the ball down there.
There's Kelly Gruber. And a high chopper. Gruber is going to have to gun it. He can't get it out of his glove. He's mad at himself. He tried to throw before he had the ball, and Puckett safe at first.
Well, we've seen the effect of the dome looking up, and now you see the effect of the turf in the hard home plate area. Gruber knew he did not have much time. With the high bounding ball, he tried to get rid of it before he really had control of it right there.
And that is his second error. 3 errors for the Blue Jays, and here's Herbeck, 1 for 3, and the crowd's going wild. Ball 1 inside. And of course, this great city is going to host the Super Bowl and the Final Four coming up in '92, all on CBS. But right now, it's the ALCS. 1-0 to Herbeck. Gets a fastball, slowly hit to second, and the tag play is made, the double play. A fine play by Roberto Alomar, showing you why they say he's their best all-round player on that one play.
Boy, talk about great instincts. The quick decision he has to make is, can I get to Kirby Puckett quickly enough and tag him? Puckett's decision was to hold up. It's the great instincts, the speed, and the reaction of Alomar. And not only making the tag, at the end of this play, he has to throw against his body. Looking back, of course, Herbeck not blessed with great speed, but he still has to throw the ball accurately. Now this right here, one reason why many think Alomar the best all-around second baseman in baseball.
Galen Cisco is out to the mound to talk to Timlin. They have the switch-hitting Chili Davis coming up now. Bob McDonald, the left-hander, is the only hurler warming up in the Blue Jays bullpen.
We're mentioning the Braves-Pirates series coming up, and I would think as Rob McDonald warms up, one interested viewer would be Mike Stanton, the left-hand reliever of the Atlanta Braves, who's actually a teammate of Mike Timlin's in high school in their amateur days.
Several conferences going on, not only with Cisco and the pitcher, but all the 3 other infielders other than Olerud at first base.
They want to know how Timlin is going to pitch Chili Davis and where they might play. Are they going to swing him around the pull, or if they throw him more fastballs, are they going to play him the other way?
Here's Chili Davis. 1 for 2 with a single and a walk. He has knocked in 2 runs. Takes strike 1 on the inside corner. Alomar deep at second base on the outfield turf area. Outfield is straight away. Couldn't catch up to that Timlin fastball, and it's 0-2.
Very similar to the swing of Devon White. Chili Davis from the left side of the plate has a longer swing. Guys with long swings more vulnerable to the high fastball, and that's where Timlin threw it.
Timlin, the 3rd Toronto pitcher of the night. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Blue Jays trying to make an uphill climb here. We're down 5-0 after the first 3 innings. Battle back with 1 in the 4th and 3 in the 6th, putting together 5 consecutive singles. And they're hoping their bullpen can hold them for the last couple of times up. 2-2.
Boy, not only a deep bullpen, but you have to like the approach of this Blue Jays bullpen. Manager loves to see a guy like Timlin come in, work quickly, throw strikes, get your team off the field, get them back in the dugout, get a chance to score some runs.
2-2 to Davis. Breaking ball just missed, and the count is full. If Davis were to keep it going, Brian Harper would be next. Blue Jays have committed 3 errors, but none have led to a Twins run. Fouled off the mask of the catcher, Borders.
Nice job, this catching. Watch where that ball catches Pat Borders. A good shock absorber in there.
And a new baseball for Timlin.
That's been country hardball once Candiotti left the game with a knuckleball and curve. Morris, Willis, now Timlin, Wells, all with good live fastballs.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. And base on balls with 2 away. And of course you have Henke and Ward if necessary. Brian Harper, the hitter. He's 1 for 3 with a double. 2 doubles amongst the Minnesota 10-hit attack. Ball 1. Gruber is playing deep and close to the line at third.
The one thing the Blue Jays can do in the field right now, they can play their infielders deep, no speed at first base in Davis, and very little speed at home plate in Harper.
He jammed him with a fastball, and it's fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jim Acker has joined Bob McDonald in the bullpen. So we've seen just about everyone in their bullpen but Henke and Ward.
And a couple of pitchers that Cito Gaston really stays away from. Acker's not used a great deal.
2 outs. Davis on at first. 5-4 the Twins, and a ground ball foul down the left field line.
Another example of why it is so difficult to pitch to a hitter like Brian Harper. He is quick enough. Watch this pitch. He is quick enough to get the bat head through on the inside pitch. Now, if Timlin comes back with the breaking ball outside, he's shown the ability to hit that ball the other way. That's why you hit 300.
And he hit over 300 against lefties and righties alike. One and 2 the count with 2 down. 5-4. Twins looking for some insurance and breathing room. Davis the runner at first. And a ground ball up the middle. It goes through for a base hit. Davis will stop at second as Devon White retrieves. So now Minnesota with runners at first and second, and Harper is 2 for 4 tonight. And Shane Mack coming up. He's dangerous.
Just making contact. Brian Harper does it as well as anybody in the league. They'd spread the infield out because they play Harper straight away, and that's why Manuel Lee could not catch up with that ball.
Mack has not been retired tonight. He's 2 for 2 with an infield hit and a double. He has driven in a run, scored a run, and stolen a base. So the number 7 hitter has produced for the Twins.
Yeah, this shows you the difference in the 2 lineups. Alomar, White, and Carter. They call it the whack attack. They have been very productive. We talked about that. The strength of the Minnesota lineup is up and down the lineup. Here you have a number 7 hitter that, if you're Cito Gaston, you think might be a breather. Instead, it's a guy that hits 300.
Runners at first and second, 2 outs. 5-4. 11 hits off the bats of the Twins. Ball 1 high. Everyone in the Twins lineup has hit safely with the exception of Kirby Puckett. And the number 8 position, both Pagliarulo and Elias at third base. Mack at second, Harper at first. 2 down. 2 balls and no strikes. Tony Oliva, huh? How great was he as a hitter?
Talk about rookies getting hits. Over 200 in his rookie season.
One of your teammates on the 65 American League champions. In there for a strike. Good fastball. Let her high. 2-1. Tom Candiotti did not last the 3rd inning tonight. David Wells gave the Twins, or the Jays, I should say, 3 stalwart innings, giving up only 2 hits, and now Timlin. Good pitch in on the fist, and it's 2-2.
Again, that's what makes the Blue Jay bullpen so effective. You can get by with a fastball in a hitter's zone much easier than you can a breaking ball. You hang a slider, it's gone, but a good fastball like that, you get a lot of swings and misses.
Acker and McDonald continue to throw for the Blue Jays. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And that'll do it. Max strikes out. The Twins lead 2. We go to the 8th inning. And a precarious 1-run lead for the Minnesota Twins.
This game summary is sponsored by AT&T.
Well, the Twins jumped out quickly. 5 runs in the first 3 innings, knocking out Tom Candiotti. Kelly Gruber 2 for 3 and a couple of RBIs. A 3-run sixth critical for the Blue Jays. Wells and Timlin have not allowed a run in relief for the Blue Jays as we move to the top of the 8th inning. A new catcher for the Twins, Junior Ortiz, behind the plate.
Significance there. Brian Harper, if the Twins hold the lead, would not come to the plate again. And with Roberto Alomar in the batter's box, Tom Kelly is saying, let me get my best throwing catcher behind there and try to hold this lead.
And we got a couple of aces warming up in the bullpen. Alomar 2 for 3 with a couple of singles, has scored a run tonight. Swings and misses on a fastball from Carl Willis, strike 1. Tom Henke, who has had shoulder problems. It looks as if he would be, if he comes in right now, a setup man with his team trailing. And in the Minnesota bullpen, their closer, Rick Aguilera, warming up.
An ideal situation for both managers. You'd like to bring Hinkie in for 1 inning. That keeps Timlin fresh. This is a potential 7-game series.
2 balls and a strike to Alomar. He'll be followed by Carter and Olerud. Minnesota Twins leading 5-4. We're in the top of the 8th inning as Carl Willis in relief of Jack Morris, who worked 5 1/3 innings trying to hold down the fort, at least until the 9th, when Aguilera could come in and close the door. Fastball on the outside edge for a strike, 2-2. Alomar, a switch hitter. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tomorrow night, Juan Guzman, who has been the hottest pitcher for the Blue Jays, won 10 straight games before his last loss. That's tomorrow afternoon, and will be facing Kevin Tampany, who is maybe the best pitcher down the stretch for the Twins. 3 o'clock Eastern time right here on CBS. He's out. Fastball on the inside corner, letter high, and Alomar is called out on strikes.
Previous pitch was on the outside corner. Willis comes back, and watch him pick up the target on the inside part of the plate. As Alomar walked away from the plate, he looked back at home plate umpire Larry Barnett as if to say that ball was high. Barnett's strike zone has been very consistent all night long, and that pitch was right there. It comes across just about bell tie.
1 away in the 8th inning, and here's Joe Carter. It's a 5-4 game, and the Blue Jays have their big home run hitter at the plate. 33 home runs, 4th in the American League. Taking low, ball 1. Carter is 2 for 3 with a double and a single, has scored 2 of the Blue Jays' 4 runs. Grounded foul. The left side of the Twins infield is playing very deep and playing Carter to pull.
Just about all of Joe Carter's home runs are to left field. He does have 1 to center, but he, even on that pitch that was almost off the plate outside, will try to pull the ball.
Fouled off. He was amongst the leaders this year.
Wherever he goes, he puts up about 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs. 3 different teams, 3 straight years. First one to do that.
And he's going to be a free agent this year, so he could be 4 for 4, but I think he likes it where he is in Toronto. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Misses outside, and the count is even at 2-2. This game started out to be a walkthrough for the Twins. They had a 5-0 lead, and Jack Morris was practically untouchable. But a run in the 4th and 3 in the 6th inning. And this game has tightened up. Fly ball to left field. Dan Gladden has plenty of room. That's 2 out. Two down in the 8th inning, and Willis has done a terrific job since coming in for Morris. There were 2 runners on base when Willis came in the 6th inning. He got Maldonado and Mullenix. Then retired the side in order in the 7th inning, and Willis has the first 2 hitters here. And Tom Kelly is coming out and may not take any more chances. He may want his ace closer right here. Rick Aguilera.
One of the unique things about this game of baseball these days, with the split finger fastball, right-hand pitchers are as effective against left-hand hitters, and Aguilera is an example of that.
And the call's gone out, and Willis has done a terrific job, and he'll get a hand. Willis retired all 7 batters he faced, and now they call on Rick Aguilera with 2 out in the 8th inning. Dick Stockton and Jim Cott along with Leslie Visser here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. 5-4 the score. The Twins had led 5-0, and only 3 teams have overcome a 5-run deficit to win a postseason game. Most recently, the A's against the Red Sox in the American League Championship Series 3 years ago. The Brooklyn Dodgers against the New York Yankees back in '56 in the World Series, and got to go back to 1929 when the Philadelphia A's against the Cubs in the World Series. And of course, you remember that very well.
Well, I was going to say, you remembered that '56 game, but your team wasn't there.
No. Well. So here is Rick Aguilera. 42 saves this season. Became the closer in a role that I guess he finally has gotten used to.
He came over from the Mets in that trade for Frank Viola, Kevin Tapani, David West for Frank Viola, which has turned out to be a terrific deal for Minnesota. But Aguilera originally thought of as a potential starter, and it took him a while mentally and physically to settle into that role. A little reluctant to do it. But you see the numbers this year, and what makes him so effective coming in here against Olerud, the league hits about $180 against him, whether you're a left-hander or a right-hander. That's primarily because he has the splitter, the forkball against lefties, and still a good breaking ball against righties and a live fastball against both of them.
Well, it's scratching out the names of those that are gone. By the way, Aguilera has a cousin who's in the FBI, and there's a police chiefs convention here in Minneapolis, so you know he got calls for a lot of tickets. Huh? You can't get a hotel room. I'm sure he got his cousin in now somehow. Here's John Olerud with 2 out, nobody on base.
Just wear that police uniform. That'll get you in the gate.
Every time. Olerud has knocked in 2 runs, despite the fact that he has not hit safely. Aguilera's first pitch is a strike. With tailing fastball. Carl Willis working 2 1/3 innings, striking out 2, retiring all 7 batters he faced when the Blue Jays had knocked out Jack Morris in the 6th and were threatening to tie the game or move ahead. 1-1 now to Olerud.
See Kirby Puckett in a rather deep center field, and Shane Mack is almost on the warning track in right. That's for a reason. They want to prevent the extra base hit with a 1-run lead. Keep the ball in front of you in the outfield.
That one went about 58 feet.
That's the reason for the alignment in the outfield. Pretty much straight away. Gladden slightly off the line and left, but Olerud can hit it to all fields.
And there's the right fielder, Shane Mack. He actually has moved in a couple of steps. 2 balls and a strike to 2 out to Olerud, a rookie last year. It's 17 homers and drove in 68 runs this season. Line drive, base hit, may go up the gap. Gladden tries to chase it down and does, and he'll hold Olerud to a single. Good hustle by the speedy Gladden in left field.
You mentioned why Tom Kelly wanted him in the lineup, not only as a leadoff hitter, but plays like this. Probably none better in the field than Dan Gladden in left field. The ability to cut off potential doubles and hold them to singles.
And we're going to have a pinch runner. Rene Gonzalez will run for Olerud. So Gonzalez, the pinch runner. He is the potential tying run with 2 out, and Kelly Gruber, who has driven in 2 runs, 2 for 3 on the night. Line drive foul. He pulled it and got a hold of Aguilera's fastball, but pulled it too much.
First ball fastball hitter. He got it and turned on it. Leave it on the end. Actually, it looked like a flat slider, which oftentimes turns out to be a mediocre fastball. Those pitches late in the game are probably more responsible for game-winning hits than any other.
They got the speedy Gonzalez on at first base. No pun intended.
Yeah, and actually the pinch running move here, not necessarily for the stolen base, but because any ball hit in the gap. Cito Gaston wants better speed there to score on an extra base hit.
Crowd on its feet now with the Homer Hankies in full bloom. Swings and misses on a fastball in his eyes. Aguilera gets Gruber, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Twins still clinging to a 1-run lead.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the American League Championship Series.
Tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, the National League Championship Series gets underway. Tom Glavine for the Braves, Doug Drabek for the Pirates. Glavine, the 20-game winner. Can the Braves' magic still work? Well, they won 9 out of 12 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a great send-off. 5,000 fans showed up to see the Braves leave, and they are going wild. I'm sure every one of them had tomahawks, huh? Gene Larkin is batting for Scott Leyes. The new first baseman is Rene Gonzalez, who went in to run for Olerud. Larkin had his career-high .286 batting average this year. Fouls it off for a strike 1-1. He is a switch hitter, native of Astoria, New York. If Gladden had not started tonight, Larkin would have started and been in right field, and Mack would have been in left. One hopper's nailed by Timlin, and Larkin is retired for the first out.
It's working out great for both managers tonight because they are able to get a lot of players involved in the game, and that can be important in championship series play from a pressure standpoint. A series that could well go 6 or 7 games.
Tom Kelly looking at the lineup card. Coming to bat for the Blue Jays in the 9th inning will be Maldonado, Mullenix, and Borders, the scheduled hitters. Here's Greg Gagne. Fouls off the first pitch for a strike. He's 1 for 3. Got a base hit in the 2nd inning and knocked in one of the 2 runs as the Twins scored 5 runs in the first 3 innings and now trying to hold on for dear life. There's Al Newman getting ready, and he likely will come in to play third base in the 9th inning. Fastball, Gagne fouls it back, and it's 2 strikes.
See that lineup card you referred to that Tom Kelly was scratching names out in the dugout wall? The Oakland A's do something rather unique and very nice with theirs. After every game, they have a player autograph it and they auction them off for charity. And they've been able to raise a lot of money for charity out in the Bay Area for those simple looking lineup cards.
Misses outside, but people get a lot of pleasure out of that, especially when it's autographed by the game's hero. Foul back. It'll be interesting to see, Jim, in the 9th inning if Cito Gaston decides to put up a pinch hitter for the DH Rance Mulliniks. He has Pat Tabler, Rob Ducey, and Greg Myers, 3 left-handed batters at his disposal.
And Myers has had a lot of success against the Twins, but again, it goes back to when Aguilera is on his game, he is equally effective against lefties and righties.
Ball and 2 strikes to Gagne with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 5-4 the Twins, game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Fouls off a breaking ball, and it is still 1-2.
Got to be a pleasure for Cito Gaston just to feel well enough to sit in that chair and finger that baseball. It's been a tough year for him, not being comfortable with a back injury.
You can see he's trying to get loose the bulging disc pressing on a nerve, and that has limited him to 3 or 4 hours of sleep at night. Swing and a miss, and Gagne goes down for out number 2. That is the 2nd strikeout for Mike Timlin and the 6th strikeout by the Blue Jay pitchers tonight. Dan Gladden singled his first 2 times up, has been retired since then, 2 for 4 on the night, including a fine play in left center field to hold John Olerud to a single last inning. Up the middle and off the arm of Timlin, recovers nicely and flips underhand to Gonzalez at first, and we'll see how Timlin is. He has a smile. Apparently he's all right.
Well, he's got a little autograph from Dr. Bobby Brown, the league president, on that one. That's for sure on that left arm, but the quick reflexes still makes the play.
The Blue Jays bullpen of Wells and Timlin, 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Now it's the 9th inning, their last chance, trailing by a run. Soto, 5-4 the score. The Twins lead, and Rick Aguilera will face Maldonado here in the 9th inning. He is 0 for 3. Mulliniks is standing in the on-deck circle. 5-4 the score. Fastball, strike 1. Al Newman has gone in to play 3rd, replacing Scott Leyes, so he's the 3rd Minnesota third baseman tonight. Carl Willis with 2 1/3 innings of terrific relief, and now Aguilera to try to end it, and Maldonado tries to bunt his way on and fouls it back. Strike 2.
Surprising play. Took a peek down at Al Newman at 3rd base. Maldonado is one of the hitters down near the bottom of this lineup that you figure can drive the ball out of the ballpark.
Game 1 of the American League Championship Series, coming down to the top of the 9th inning. Lays off the pitch high, 1-2. Mark Johnson, the first base umpire, confirming that call. 5-11-0 for the Twins, 4-9-3 for the Blue Jays. Two balls and 2 strikes. Everyone figured the Blue Jays would be the team with the speedsters, the running game, but Minnesota with 4 stolen bases knocked out Candiotti in the 3rd inning. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It's low. Maldonado's experienced and has a good eye.
Well, I tell you, he has taken some close pitches in this at-bat. And that is the value of having an experienced player who's also been in these types of situations in postseason play.
They have an experienced hitter waiting on deck in Rance Mullenix. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Candy Maldonado. Strikes him out. 1 gone in the ninth.
It's amazing how hitters will take a close pitch. Look at the eyes and the determination in the eyes of Rick Aguilera. Hitters will take a close pitch for strike 2, but they do not want to get caught looking at strike 3. They're much more apt to swing at that pitch. Maldonado chases it up in the strike zone.
Aguilera gave up 3 home runs this season. Here is Rance Mullenix, not a home run hitter to say the least. 0 for 3, takes ball 1 outside. 35-year-old designated hitter. That's been a weak spot for the Blue Jays in their batting order, the DH position this
Never
year.
been able to find a lot of power out of that spot. They have the speed of a Mookie Wilson, and not the home run production.
Ground ball hit sharply at Knobloch. He's there. 2 out in the ninth. The coordinating producer of Major League Baseball on CBS is Rick LaCivita. Tonight's telecast was produced by Bob Dekas and directed by Bob Fishman. The senior producer of CBS Sports is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. Pat Borders stands between Rick Aguilera, the Twins, and a 1-0 lead in the championship series, and a ball hit out to left. Gladden coming in. He's got it, and the game is over. The Twins win it 5-4. Minnesota leads 1-0 in the best of 7. Morris wins it. Candiotti loses it, and Aguilera gets the save. And we will be back to the Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. The Blue Jays rally falls short, but we had excellent relief pitching on both sides tonight. Minnesota wins 5-4, and the Chevrolet player of the game is Dan Gladden of the Twins. 2 for 5, a run scored, and a fine defensive play. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in his behalf to the Special Olympics. Right now, let's meet him along with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
I'm here, Dick, with one of the heroes of the game, Dan Gladden. Dan, you guys got 5 runs early and held him off. What was key?
Well, I think, you know, we were looking for his curveball, and he was throwing it, and then when we were looking for it, we seemed to hit it for base hits, and I think the crowd tonight responded pretty good.
What about for you? You seem to respond in postseason. You went 2 for 5 tonight. You've been struggling a little coming in.
Well, but that all doesn't matter right now. This is just the postseason, like you said, and I'm just happy to be able to be in the lineup and come out and contribute to the club.
Good luck against Juan Guzman. Now let's go up to Pat O'Brien.
You should sleep with that glove tonight. It did him well today. You know, it was a Midwesterner who once said, there is no place like home. And in postseason baseball, the Twins are now 7-0 since 1987 in this building. And so the Homer Hankies will take just a few hours off, and they'll be back tomorrow shortly after lunch. So that's it for Game 1. For Dick Stockton, Jim Cott, and Leslie Visser, I'm Pat O'Brien saying so long from the Metrodome, where once again the final score, Minnesota 5, Toronto 4. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Minnesota Twins. Then in prime time at 8:30 Eastern, it's Game 1 of the National League Championship Series when the Atlanta Braves take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 American League Championship Series is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. The U.S. Army, where you get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And by Old Spice deodorant, because prevention is the ultimate form of protection. Count on it.
You've been watching Major League Baseball on CBS Sports, home of the biggest games in baseball, the League Championship Series and the World Series. It wasn't easy. They had to work late, but the Twins go 1-up in this series. But as everyone in Canada knows, they scheduled this one for 7. See you tomorrow.
This unofficial moment in our national pastime is brought to you by the official airline of Major League Baseball, United. Come fly the friendly skies.
When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports.
This is CBS.